muted. That must mute everything for everyone.
You think?
Maybe. Hold on. Nicole, can you hear us? Busy right now.
Hi, it's Brian. We can hear
Hey,
you.
Brian. I'm gonna try to mute all of us. Just let me know. Kind of. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna test something.
That's a new setup.
Can you hear me now, Brian?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so yeah.
Paula, can you hear us in Albany?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Today's date is May 11th, 2022. This is a regular meeting of the members of the State Liquor Authority being conducted in New York City with video conferencing to Albany and Buffalo. Present today are Chairman Bradley, Commissioner Fan, and Commissioner Ford. Staff in attendance, General Counsel Meyerhoff, Deputy Commissioner of Licensing Donahue, and myself, Secretary Roper. This meeting is also being live streamed on the Authority's YouTube channel. Next meeting dates are May 25th, June 8th, and June 22nd. Please silence your mobile phones while in the meeting room and take any phone calls or conversations outside. Items will be called in the order they are signed in, first in Buffalo, then Albany, and then in New York City. There may be, of course, exceptions to that. When your item is called, please approach the podium and identify yourself. Representatives should also identify their clients who are present. Chairman, do you have any announcements?
I do not.
All right. First item is 834. That's Ray's Wine and Liquor, LLC.
Good morning. My name is Miguel Reyes. I'm an attorney representing the applicant. The applicant is standing to my right. This is reconsideration.
One second. Brian, could you at least can you at least turn up the volume a little bit? I mean, we're still having the sound issues, but they're also soft.
Okay, I turned it up. Shall I repeat anything?
No, we got it. We heard
Okay.
you, just not well enough. That's fine.
Very well, thank you. Excuse me. My client seeks reconsideration of a denial of a removal application that he had made to increase the space of his store from 1,400 feet to just shy of 4,000 feet. That represents approximately 100 feet by 40 feet. I would not qualify that as a superstore by any means. This would permit the applicant to offer better prices and selection to his customers. The issue of the enclosure of the store was obviously on the mind of the board on the prior decision, and I would point out that this is a matter of safety. With all due respect, we live in a country that is historically a violent country. And increasingly, it has become a lawless country. The issue of public insecurity is very, very much in the news, very much in the forefront of people who live in urban areas in the United States in general and in New York in particular. This store is located in a very rough neighborhood. It is in a large open plaza. My client operates a store there now. He wants to move it just a few feet down, just in the same plaza, simply to a bigger location. An open plan in that neighborhood is not feasible. He would have the choice of either seeing his merchandise be stolen and literally walk out. Choice number two would be to call the police, and I can tell you from experience with the Rochester Police Department regarding petty larcenies and small crimes, they don't even show when you call 911. Option number three would be to defend his inventory by force, and that would be catastrophic. It would put him in danger, it would endanger the public, it would endanger
Sir,
his
I
site.
don't want to waste your time or our time. He's allowed to have a closed store. No one is questioning
Yes.
that. So why he has it is not really relevant to this conversation. What we have to decide is whether this is in public convenience and advantage, and you haven't mentioned one thing that would indicate that.
Well, certainly, the reason that I went into the safety issue, Mr. Chairman, is that appeared, I saw the video of the last meeting, and that appeared to be a primary concern of at least some of the members of the board. So that's something that we needed to address.
Without question. The reason being is that a bulletproof store provides no public convenience and advantage, except that it's located there. He wants to make a bigger store. He's not going to add any public convenience and advantage by being bigger and still bulletproof. If he wants to remain bulletproof, I understand the reasons for that, and there's absolutely no problem with that. But that doesn't establish public convenience and advantage.
Well, the public convenience is that by having a larger store, he has the ability to make larger purchases from suppliers that reduces his unit costs, and he is able to pass those savings on to his customers. In addition to that,
do you have anything else? Any other points? We got that point.
okay, I would like you to consider the fact that this applicant has a very long history with the Liquor Authority and an exemplary record with the Liquor Authority. That particular store in that location has been licensed since 1985. He has been the owner of it since 2015. Prior to that, he had a bar called Ray Ray's, a bar and grill, also in the city of Rochester. He owned that for approximately 5 years. And during the entire time that he has operated the bar and this particular location, he has not incurred a single violation of liquor laws. He is assiduous in his respect of the law. And he has made a very significant investment in fixing up the store and will continue to do that. The new location, a very significant investment in an area of the city that frankly needs it. And I think
thank you.
the application should be granted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone there in opposition? No, I know, but they may come anyway.
There was no protest originally.
Okay. All right, Donald, we're ready. Unless somebody has any questions.
Consideration, Commissioner Fan.
I'm going to vote no on reconsideration. I don't see any new information.
Commissioner Ford
I'm going to vote no on reconsideration as well. I don't see anything new. to
and
consider.
Chairman Bradley.
I'm going to vote no as well. All those arguments are you made previously, and I considered them when I denied the license last time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is 776 ALDASKELLER Wine Company, LLC.
Good morning, members of the full board. My name is Jacob Pierkowski. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Brandon Opalich of ALDASKELLER Wine Company. Just so the board's aware, we are joined by 3 of the individuals today who did provide affidavits, which are included as an Exhibit K of my submission. They're here if the board has any questions. I don't know if they have anything to add beyond their affidavits that they provided, but if there are questions, we do have them here. We thank you for allowing us to be heard on reconsideration here. One of the key issues that came up the last time was that my client is looking to open a small, organic and natural only wine shop in the South Wedge neighborhood of Rochester. And one of the critical things that was brought up was the viability of this store. And we were asked if we had any market studies. And we did have letters from distributors and importers, but not to the specificity that the board was looking for. So in my submission, we've included that. And I think really what's most telling are, there's a lot of numbers in there. I understand there's a lot of exhibits that we've attached. But really most telling, there's a, Exhibit A has a market analysis from Bowler Wine, which is a natural wine importer. And they note sales increases over the last 3 years in natural wine in their sales portfolio, ranging from 204% up to 645%.
Can I ask you a question just to clarify something? There's a lot of percentages in there. What's the dollar difference? What's the dollar difference?
So, if I may, Chairman, for example, Winkler and Samuels, which is in Buffalo, went from $28,000 to $38,000 in 3 years. That was a 34% increase. That's the smallest increase in the list. The highest increase in the list is Underground Bottle Shop in the Finger Lakes. They went from $9,000 to over $67,000 in sales.
What's his, can I ask you a quick question? What's his rent per month, approximately?
My rent is $1,400.
And then it's gonna be you and how many employees?
In the beginning, as you know, when we start off, it's going to be just me running the store.
Mr. Opalich will be there completely by himself until the store grows enough where he can bring on other employees.
Can I ask a question? The submission that's from Bowler Wine,
Yes.
is there a reason why it's just a spreadsheet that doesn't even say Bowler Wine on it? Who prepared that spreadsheet?
They did. That's what they gave to me.
Yeah, my
Did
distributor.
they give you a cover letter with it that said something about Bowler Wine?
No, there was nothing more than that. There was just this
Okay.
letter here.
All right. Can you understand why that would maybe give us some concern that no one even signed off on those numbers? We just have to take your word for it that that's where it came from?
Which we will.
And I appreciate that, and I completely understand the concern, but to bolster that, we've also included sales reports from Jenny and Francois Selections, which is the largest and oldest natural wine distributor in the United States. We've included a letter from...
I understand that you've done that, but I guess my point is that the Bowler, what you've called the Bowler Wine submission, is the only submission that tells us what any retail store is making on natural wine anywhere in the state. Everything else is a percentage of what a supplier is doing with unnamed stores. The Bowler one is the only one that gives retail numbers for particular stores. Most of them are, in the $30,000 to $60,000 range per year. There's one that's $120,000, which is Pinnacle, but that's a huge store, right? $3 million in revenues roughly a year.
Sure.
So-
Very small selection of natural wine there, mostly liquor.
And if I
But the biggest selection of natural wine that you've reported on, that's the store that's doing the most
Absolutely.
of any state that your data shows in New York State, if we accept it all. And they're still only doing 120,000 out of 3 million in their sale.
All right, let's move on. All right, do you have anything else? Do you have anything else to add? Go ahead.
I do. Just to that point, I don't mean to belabor it, but what we were asked to provide was market analysis. I can only provide what these distributors provide to me. I don't have access to these sales numbers. So if we look at some of these numbers here, Mr. Meyerhofer, I mean, Jenny and Francois showing sales going from $3,000 to $26,000. Zevrovine says that their sales are going up 191% over a 2-year period, and they're saying that Rochester is the most underserved market for this. So what we have is one store that's going to specialize in this type of wine, and we see massive growth, and we see the distributors saying that they're not seeing this sales in Rochester as opposed to other areas in New York State. And I apologize for not having more details on the specific stores, but we're working with what we were given.
Just one last word. I'm not suggesting that you've done anything improper. I just want to make it clear on the record what you've sent us actually represents, and that is essentially percentage growth of an industry that was selling almost no natural wine 4 years ago, that's now selling some. But as far as what an individual store might make, the data doesn't show that anybody's making more than $100,000 in a year, and most of them are making far less than that. I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, so I just want to look at Exhibit A again. So the retailers that you specify are not all natural wine retailers in all of New York State, right? This is just a selective view.
I believe that these are the stores that we were provided from Bowler. I don't believe any of them are exclusively natural and organic wine sales. These are just their wine that's sold at from Bowler to these specific stores.
Oh, these are only Bowler's wines?
Those are only Bowler's wines.
Yeah, natural wine.
That's what I'm saying is that the numbers you're trying to show me, even though your growth percentage is showing, I don't know, 200% growth, you're basically telling me that the entire region is only selling $338,000 worth of wine, which we know is not enough. Even if he got the entire market, is not enough to substantiate a store. So I
But
just don't
respect-
see how these numbers actually help you. It's actually helping prove the point that there is no numbers, there's not enough consumption to substantiate public convenience. I'm not sure how this helps you.
If I may, Commissioner Fan, this is only one distributor.
It's one of many distributors.
So that's only the Bowler Wine portfolio in these stores. We've also included submissions from Jenny and Francois, Zev Rovine, and CORP, which are all showing significant growth and noting that Rochester's lagging in availability and sales.
I don't want to undermine what they've presented too much.
I don't know.
Just for the record, that they have shown that there's a substantial growth in the industry for natural wine. But in any event, I think, well,
All right.
If I may,
Do you have any questions?
No?
Okay, Donald, I think we can.
All right. On the request for reconsideration, Commissioner Fan,
I'll vote yes.
Commissioner Ford,
I'll vote yes on reconsideration.
Chairman Bradley.
I'm going to vote yes on reconsideration as well, but I want to be clear, Commissioner Fan is exactly right. Those numbers you presented, that even if you took all of those sales, that would not support a liquor store in any part of the state. And
understood.
which was basically what we were saying, as well as the fact that you have another store within 220 feet of you. But I will reconsider.
Thank you very much.
You want to?
Thank you, members.
Any more questions on the application, or do you want to?
I don't have
the
any
application?
I'll vote to grant a wine store only, a natural wines. Oh, well, no, he wanted natural liquor as well, right?
It's just a wine
No,
store.
just wine,
No liquor.
just
Just
natural organic
Natural
wine.
organic. Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna vote yes on natural organic wine store.
And Commissioner Ford.
I'm going to vote the same way. Going to hold you to it. That's what you're asking for. That's the only reason why I'm saying yes.
And
I
Chairman Bradley.
appreciate that.
I'm going to vote to approve as well, only natural organic wines. The, as Commissioner Ford just pointed out, there is a store within 220 feet. This is not going to become a liquor store.
Absolutely not.
And no, I know you're saying it's not, but all these numbers that you're showing us, if this growth stops, you're going to be stopped dead in your tracks because you don't have enough revenue right now to cover what your costs are going to be. So
I understand that.
we're giving it the store to you. Good luck.
Thank
But
you.
we are not in the business of putting liquor stores right next door to each other.
I understand that, and I respect that, and you know, I believe my passion for what I do will carry me through this endeavor. So I appreciate your reconsideration.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, members.
You're welcome.
Next is 833 Cayuga Lake Wine and Spirits Inc.
Good morning, board members. My name is Josiah Walkingstick.
And I'm her husband, Michael Dugan. We're asked for reconsideration for our liquor store.
We're representing Cayuga Lake Wine and Spirits. Our application was previously denied on the meeting January 4th, and we want to thank you for allowing us to come before you again. We've been through this process twice before. We have 2 liquor licenses with another business. And we did not realize the importance of coming to the actual hearing. We had gone through it twice before. We never had to come to a hearing or provide any supplemental information. So we appreciate this opportunity.
The information we have proves that the mayor of Union Springs said that the town is too rural. We have some facts that discount that.
So we have 2 issues we'd like to discuss with you today. The original reason that you denied was because the mayor said that the town was too rural and could not support 2 liquor stores. But first, we'd like to talk about your request for wanting to know why it would be a consumer advantage. We will have a larger, safer parking lot And we also plan to offer a drive-through service, which
So
at
in
this
case
time,
COVID comes back, we could supply our constituents to that. And the drive-through will just be a lot easier to deal with it instead of the people. He's shaking his head, I don't know.
I think, if I can interrupt you for a second,
Yes.
I think there's a problem with that idea because it's not legal.
Okay. Oh, it is? Okay, then we won't do
well,
that.
then we will not do
We will
that,
not do a
absolutely.
liquor drive-through. We thought that it was.
So the,
Other than that-
the park,
Other than that, it's a good idea.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, we're so nervous.
We
That's
provide
okay,
for
we
DOT.
understand.
DOT has provided us with numbers that up to about 800,000 people travel Route 90, which is also the Cayuga Lake Wine Trail, which about 25% would go by Cayuga County. The area liquor stores, there's 15 of them within 2 miles to 4 miles of each other from Auburn and in Cayuga County.
With very similar populations to where our proposed liquor store is.
We have letters from the town of Springport, the board members that highly support another business that would help competition, that would add jobs to the community. Our restaurant, which is 8 miles away, is in great contact with a lot of the wineries that are on the wine trail. 3 of them are very good friends with ours. We expect to promote New York State wines throughout our store. We expect to just promote and promote and promote.
So we do believe that we can offer
A convenience.
a convenience that's not there, based on the fact that it's not very rural all year round. Yes, it's rural, maybe for the winter times, but not even, because there's hunting that occurs there.
There's
It's a
weddings
very-
at Aurora Inn, the houses, the population increases by nearly 30,000 with all the lakefront houses, with the 5 marinas that are there. There's 2 stores in Union Springs that the mayor, agreed upon. There's 2 banks, there's two of everything. And within 3 or 4 miles of, with 2 liquor stores, we're north of him.
And we serve our community and west, and he serves his community and the other way. And even though it is 1.1 miles from each other, the distance from another liquor store is 14 miles.
We have a restaurant there for 12 years. We're second generation in the area. We're deeply rooted in the community.
So that was the main reason for the denial in the first place, was one, we realized we did not show up and we did not give supplemental information, and we apologize for that. And we appreciate you allowing us to do that this time.
Did any opposition show up last time?
Yeah, there was opposition
Yes.
From the other winery.
So the other owner of the liquor store that is, I'm sorry.
It was a protest from the dockside, the store that we just opened last year.
That's the closest store, right? And then the mayor
Yes,
wrote
ma'am.
in.
Questions?
No,
How
I
big
don't.
is the store?
2,400 square feet.
Yes.
Correct.
All of that is not retail. Some is office, some is
It
storage,
was
lot.
2,000 retail.
2,000 retail is what you said.
Correct.
The members ready to vote on reconsideration?
The mayor has been on record as promoting his town as a very bustling tourist location. So
That's what
for him
mayors
to
do.
represent it, Mayor
what-
Shattuck of Union Springs.
It's interesting.
It was his opinion basically solely that
That
they
there shouldn't
came
be
with
two.
saying that there shouldn't be 2 liquor stores because it's too rural. He's been quoted, and we included that information to you. Press releases saying that it's a bustling tourist town that explodes with population in the summertime.
Okay. That's what every mayor says about every town.
We're not-
I think
we're not-
we're ready,
We do
Donna.
have
It's kinda
DOT
like-
traffic information.
That's their gig.
I'll vote yes on reconsideration.
Commissioner,
You guys seem like fine applicants, but I'm going to vote no on reconsideration, and it has nothing to do with what the mayor said. It has to do with the fact that we just licensed a place a mile away from you, this pretty much the same size retail square footage.
Yeah,
So,
bless you.
and we don't, Let me finish.
Yeah, sorry,
Billy.
Chairman Bradley.
And we don't have any figures on the impact of that in the market at this point. It was just open literally months ago.
And Chairman Bradley.
I'll vote to reconsider.
All right. And on the application, Commissioner Fan?
I'll vote yes, but no drive-through.
Thank
No
you, man.
drive-through.
We will make sure that I close that.
Sir, you need to just let the members speak and vote,
Yes.
okay?
Commissioner Ford?
I'm going to vote to deny.
And Chairman
I'll
Bradley?
vote to approve.
All right,
No drive-through.
you've been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No
Really
drive-through.
appreciate
I'm gonna go
it.
outside and cry. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
You're welcome.
I need my purse.
They're so excited. Next is
No
772.
idea.
772, Seneca Liquors, Inc.
72?
772.
Good morning, Commissioner, members of the board. Adam Connors appearing on behalf of Seneca Liquors, Inc. With me is the owner, Greg Rellinger.
And we do have opposition here, though, I believe.
All right, can we hear from the opposition first?
Is that correct? Are you here in opposition?
Yeah.
Sir?
Yes.
Can you come up? Can you put your name on the record?
Brian Downey. I'm appearing on behalf of Casanova Liquors, Inc.
Okay, are you aware this isn't a new store, that this is just somebody moving next door?
Well, my understanding is they're wanting to make a larger store.
Correct. All right, go ahead.
And so that is problematic for my client.
Okay.
They believe there's already a decent saturation. In my client's gross sales letter of March 5th, 2022, you will see that they had a $105,000 decrease in sales, which is a 9% decrease, which is significant. And also coupled with increase in costs, which recently, I think it just came out today, that inflation is is over 8%. It's becoming more and more problematic for retailers. And they believe that the retailers in the market are already stressed and that the Seneca Liquors application should not be approved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Who was your client again?
Casanova Liquors, Inc.
Okay, thanks.
This location that they're moving into was previously licensed. Am I reading that correctly? But as an AX.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct. Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Again, Adam Connors on behalf of Seneca Liquors. Yes, the situation, there's 2 units within the building where we're currently located. The current space is about 1,800 total, 1,200 floor space for retail. What the plan would be is to move into the adjacent unit, which would effectively double our space to 3,600 with 2,400 retail floor space. The plan is made for a couple of reasons. One is it's a very tight situation currently. We've got a noticeably aging population that we're dealing with. One of the reasons we'd like to do this is we'd have much more room to be handicapped and elderly accessible. In addition to the usual reasons of providing a better selection and better pricing. We'd also note that it would likely increase our employees. We currently have 5. It would move us from 6 to 8 employees. Other than that, I would also note that we'd still be smaller than most of the other locations within the locality. In fact, I believe Casanova Liquors, who has made the complaint today, actually expanded double its space about 8 years ago, and is now protesting somebody else trying to do the same thing.
Let me ask you a question. When
Sure.
you get a better bulk discount and you're saying that you're passing that benefit to the consumer, how much are we talking about per bottle, roughly?
It could be anywhere from $2 to $4 a bottle.
Okay.
May I ask you something? Maybe these figures aren't correct, but it's showing you 22. Are these figures right? 950 from 21 to 3.4 million, or is that a decimal mistake?
It's gotta be a decimal mistake.
Because that's a hell of a run for first part of the year already.
Yeah, we have a printout of the revenue numbers that you reported for 2022 so far. Do you know what that number is?
I do not.
Your partner filled it out.
Okay.
It'd be 345 change, 345,000.
1 month.
We're just
As of January. Oh, no.
There's no 3 million in the business. I know that.
Yeah, I'm just asking.
Need a bigger store than you're even asking
I'm
for.
just saying, I see why you need a
Oh,
bigger
no.
store.
There is an erroneous number there.
Oh. It's probably 34,000, I bet. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
I think we're ready.
Commissioner Fan?
I'm going to vote to approve.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to vote to approve as well.
Chairman Bradley?
I'm going to vote to approve as well. I think they're not making a superstore here. They're basically enlarging their store to approximately the same size as their nearest competitor and certainly within range of their other competitors as well. So I'm going to vote to approve.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Brian, there's no more items in Buffalo, correct?
No, there's no one else here.
Okay. If you stay on for just like 15 minutes, just in case, that would be great.
Okay.
So it appears Albany has a fire alarm
Sweet.
going off, so we will move to New York City. First is 829 Elmhurst 3 Inc.
In 29 years.
All right. Good morning. My name is Phil Dorn. I'm an attorney with Pizzetsky and Bookman, representing Elmhurst 3 Inc. With me is Aiden Stenson, who is the owner and principal of Elmhurst 3 Inc., DBA The Village Tavern. I have 3 quick topics I'd like to discuss today. What this matter is and what it is not. 2, the licensee's history and the remedial measures that he's taken recently. And 3, why we did not enter a conditional no contest offer. We're here before the members today due to a series of noise complaints and 311 calls. These complaints were mainly focused on outdoor noise and the trash outside. Often the charges that were brought against my client were brought after a pattern of violence or 911 calls, fighting, etc. That's not the case here today. Although there was one 911 call, there's certainly no pattern of violence or anything of that nature. 2, the Village Tavern has been licensed for over 20 years. In that time, it has no adverse disciplinary history, as we were told.
How long has your client owned it?
That entire time. Yes. Only recently did these complaints begin, and for that reason, Mr. Stenson has taken several remedial measures to ensure that the disturbances are kept to an absolute minimum. Mr. Stenson signed an affidavit, which the member should have received last week, outlining all the steps that he has taken and that he will take to ensure that these disturbances are mitigated. Some of those steps that he's taken are hiring an additional security guard whose sole responsibility is to ensure that nobody loiters outside the premises and nobody makes noise once they leave, that they are escorted out quietly. Additionally, he has removed all televisions and speakers from outside the establishment, which were a cause of a lot of the noise that the neighbors had complained about. Mr. Stenson swore in his affidavit that...
Let me just stop there.
Sure.
are you telling me on Bedford Street, which I'm very familiar with, he put TVs and stereo speakers on the street?
During the emergency, during the pandemic, yes, there were
When
TVs for
everybody
the
was in their apartments,
uh,
stuck at home?
when outdoor seating was allowed.
But I mean, all the neighbors, this is a small street. You have TVs blaring outside,
There are no longer.
but that doesn't show a lot of respect for the neighborhood.
Can I also say, just for the record, this case was ready to go to hearing. There were 6 neighbors lined up to testify at the hearing. And if that had gone to hearing, this case would be in front of the board with the same mitigation requests, but we would have a record of what those witnesses testified to. And now we don't. All we have is what your client is saying or characterizing the way in which they said. So I hope you approach this with the understanding that by pleading no contest, we're assuming the evidence we had about what they were going to say is true. Understand that?
Yes, we
Because
understand.
otherwise, you're trying to game the system to try to make it appear as if this is a one-side, as if they were wrong, and you've deprived them of their opportunity to testify.
That is certainly not the intention.
Just wanted to, okay.
We just want to show that we are taking steps to mitigate the complaints that were being made. Additional steps that have been taken, reducing the hours of the outdoor seating, which was originally 11 p.m. during the week and midnight on weekends, to 10 p.m. across the board. The affidavit said 10 and 11, but in fact, my client has notified me that we've scaled it back even further to 10 o'clock across the board. And finally, that the trash was moved from Leroy Street, which is the quieter of the residential streets, to Bedford Street. For the inside portion, although the bulk of the complaints were about the outdoors, Mr. Stenson hired a sound engineer to take decibel readings and understand better how he can mitigate the noise inside. He's also working with the New York Landmarks Commission to try to figure out how he can thicken the glass. He put a massive deposit down to install new windows, but the Landmarks Commission said slow your roll. So they're working together to make sure they can do that appropriately. But he is looking to mitigate the noise both inside and outside. And finally, the third point I just wanted to raise briefly, which is why we didn't offer a conditional no contest. Often with these, with all these remedial measures that Mr. Stenson has taken, coupled with the licensee's 20-year history and lack of an adverse disciplinary history in that time, we feel that $15,000 that counsel's office originally offered to us was inappropriate. For just a series of noise complaints and one 911 call, which was clearly an offshoot and not the norm.
So let me stop you there. And I know you're new at this, so I'm not assuming you will know it, but how many times do you think we actually have residents of a neighborhood coming in willing to testify against the licensee?
I can't make an assumption there. I don't know.
I couldn't tell you the last time. That's how infrequent it is.
I don't see anyone here today. I know.
No, I'm talking about at a hearing.
Right, I understand.
That would take all day.
Maybe because they assumed the fact that the case had been resolved and that there was a no contest plea.
No, they can't speak here anyway. They're not allowed.
They don't have notice of it.
Yeah, they wouldn't have to testify. But just for the record, my bureau operates as a clearinghouse for settlement offers that go to the board. And for clarity, we said if you will 10,000, we would send it up, not 15. That was what we thought the right number was. But we said if you offered 10,000, we would send it up as a CNC, and then you declined. That's my understanding of what happened.
All right.
But just to show you that how serious these neighbors are taking this, all 6 of them offered to come in and testify at the hearing, which I'm not going to tell you it's never happened before in my time here, but it happens very rarely.
Right. That was also before a lot of the steps that Mr. Stenson had taken to mitigate the noise. And it seems to have been a successful endeavor thus far.
Nothing since October of last year? No other complaints, anything like that?
I don't believe we've received a further report of 311 complaints. I have no idea how many, if there have been more.
Okay.
But I don't think we have another open matter.
No referrals, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. All right.
What, can I just ask, what are the hours on this place? On their license?
4 a.m.
There's no restriction on the hours.
And what is the music?
I have to go back and look at the original method of operation form, which is not scanned in here. Oh, here we go. 12 noon to 4 a.m., staff of 5, jukebox and tapes.
It shows how long my client has been around.
Capacity
Is that
is,
8-track tapes or?
capacity is 70.
All right, Donna, we're ready.
I'm at 8,000.
I was going to split the difference between what you offered and what Counselor said they had proposed. So I was going to go 7,500, but I'll just do 8,000 with Commissioner Pham.
Chairman Bradley.
I'm gonna go 8,000, but I want the outside to close at 9 p.m. every night for at least a year.
So what was that again?
And then to add a security guard, 2 security guards outside on weekends.
We just added one, so just to
I wanna add
clarify, you
another.
want a second one? Okay.
What was the time again?
Outside.
9, assuming they agree with it. The outside,
And
Outside.
yes.
9 p.m. outside, 7 days a week.
Oh, they have to vote on it too.
No, that's fine with me.
That's fine.
Can we bring the clock down? Close the window earlier?
And just so you're aware, because I see that some of the excuses you're giving is I can't control my customers when they leave, but I'm sure there's people leaving your bar to smoke, correct?
Of course. Yes.
So they're out front. You are in control of them.
True.
Anybody within front of your establishment, you're in control of them. If people continue to vomit and go to the bathroom on people's steps, you're not going to be open long, particularly on that street.
I agree. I find it disgusting.
That's why we hired the additional security guard.
All right, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Next is 768 Park 34 Liquor Store, Inc.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Francis Buscemi for the applicant, Park 34. With me today is Ms. Cho, the principal of the applicant. This is a transfer and removal. The transfer application was approved out of licensing, and the removal is up here today before you.
Let me just stop you there. Is there anybody protesting this? Okay, go ahead.
The purchase, the WOW liquor store is located about 145 or 85 feet from the proposed location. That store has a demolition clause in it, about 3 years left on the lease. So the applicant, Ms. Cho, doesn't want really any part of buying a business with a demolition clause. That, where your lease might end at any time, especially with only 3 years left on it. The current store is, and I've provided you.
She couldn't find a spot that was more in line with her square footage?
Well, I'm going to go through square footage. This is the closest store, Mr. Chairman, that they were able to find. And looking at Exhibit A, if you would go through that, I think that the sizes may be a little misleading once you look at the diagram plan and I explain it to you. I didn't want to go short on the actual sales area and have anyone complain that I was unrealistically describing the sales area. So within that sales area, I included the tasting room, And I'll go through that in a moment.
Basically, it wasn't about the size, it was about the location. She wanted a spot that was like as close to her existing store.
Well, I think that's important to a removal application, sir.
I agree.
Right. So we're not adding, another, it's not like she's moving a long, long distance where you're adding another store to the mix. This is a larger store, obviously, but the square footage of the actual main selling area is very comparable to the existing store. If you are able to look at Exhibit A, you'd see that the main sales area, which is on the first level as you walk in, is an 800 square foot sales area. That's where the counter is, the checkout, the shelving. Then you go up 3 steps, and when you go up 3 steps, you're going to find it's a sales room. It's a fine wine sales room, which is separate and apart, enclosed. It's a separate room. That's 430 square foot. So I included that in the sales area, quote unquote. Then there's a tasting area right off that fine wine sales room. And if you see that, that's not a shelf. That's not an area where shelving is going to be or anything. There's a tasting bar and there's tasting tables. The tasting bar actually was there, I believe, this was a restaurant that's being converted to the liquor store if approved. So there was a small bar area there that's remaining, and the applicant would like to make that into a tasting bar and then have tasting tables along there. That whole area is about 550 square feet. And again, that is for tasting purposes. So
Can I talk to your client?
Sure.
Do you have any family members in this business?
You mean for right now?
In the liquor store business?
Oh,
Not this store, any store.
Do you have any family members in the
No.
business?
And
But the manager is one of my best friends. We know each other for a long time. I really trust her.
And when you just bought this store recently?
Yeah, actually last year.
Who did you borrow the money from? The family members or somebody?
From my family, from China, back to China.
How much?
200,000.
All right, so you're gonna need to go and amend your application, because I don't believe we know that, do we?
Yes, that was all, went through that. This was the applicant's bank account in China.
In the transfer, that's.
Oh, in the transfer application?
Yes.
Where'd you
yes,
get the
Mr.
other 800,000?
800,000?
Well, the million, it's all coming from,
It all should be coming from my family back in China,
That
because
was
they
all
had
on
the
the original
limitation right
application?
now.
This is related to the problem I was discussing with you
Because they have the limitation.
offline about these transfers and removals and how we've been.
We don't have all this information in the removal, but we have in the transfer.
in the transfer
We
application.
need to get the transfers here with the removal. Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions.
Well, that's what I'm
All right,
suggesting, we eliminate the transfer, because if it's coming to the board, there's no need for a transfer. We should just have a new application.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
should I continue?
Unless they have questions, I don't.
No, I'm good.
Commissioner Fan?
So, okay, so what I was getting at,
We're
if you,
gonna vote.
I think the members are ready to vote already. Commissioner Fan?
I don't know, I don't have any information here. I don't have the demolition clause. I don't have any information.
Oh, then if you want to
All
put
the
it over.
stores are doing, I can't.
I don't want to cut him off. I was finished. If you need more information, go ahead, Mr.
No, I don't have it. I don't need more information.
should I continue?
Saying I just don't have information to support this for now. I just don't, like, all the neighboring stores are doing devastating numbers. And basically you're asking us to double the size of the store.
Well, I believe one store is doing 1.6 million, and the other store is doing 3rd Avenue, on 3rd Avenue, Asian Liquors is doing 2.4 million, and Madison on.
They're also doing 2.43 million.
1.6 million. And what I'm getting at, the existing store had an 820 square foot sales area. And if you remove out the tasting room area where we don't have shelving, the new store is at 1,230 square foot sales area.
Can I ask your client why in 2020, why she went down like over $500,000?
This isn't, no, this is the purchaser of the business.
No, she didn't have the store.
She's purchasing WOW wine if this is approved and wants to remove the business. It's a simultaneous transfer and removal.
Commissioner Ford, we've had a couple of these come before, like, at least to me lately, where it's a transfer where the applicant has no intention of staying in that place and going someplace else. And I've had conversations with the chairman that these really should be just treated as new applications. Because it's kind of,
Convoluted here.
well, it's kind of silly to say it's a transfer. It's not, because they're not staying at the old store.
Yeah, but just Commissioner Ford, Midtown Manhattan saw interesting things happen during COVID. Some areas were basically vacant because there was no tourist traffic. This is Eastern 4th Street. No tourist traffic, no businesses open. So that obviously these stores make some of their business from that. And also a lot of people left town. So even though restaurants were closed, some liquor stores didn't benefit from the pandemic. This appears to be one.
I just haven't seen that many that did less in 2020.
Most liquor stores went up because restaurants were closed.
And most stores in Manhattan did worse.
Can we have a moment with council, please?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, we're going to go on a brief recess to conference with council. We'll be back shortly. All right, we're back on the record after a brief conference with council.
So did you submit the lease at 60?
I'm sorry?
At 60 East 34th Street? Did you give us the existing lease already? Do we have that?
That would be in the WOW.
What's happening, and one of the problems that I'm having with these transfer removals is that licensing as a matter of practice isn't getting that much information about the transfer because the applicant, so we're not getting a lease, we're not getting other information about that location because they have no intention to be there.
Narrower question.
Yes.
You've made the representation that she has to move because there's some clause in the lease in 36 months. Do you have that clause with you?
Yes.
Can we see it?
Paragraph 36 of the, it should be in the SLA file on WOW.
Do you have it with you?
Yes.
Can you just show me?
Sure.
I won't look at any privileged notes you have on your page.
Here's the lease. It's 36 months left on the lease.
Okay.
Here is, the original is 56. Here's the original, 56.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, for the record, it's a 2013 lease that has essentially a standard demolition clause that, gives the owner the right to cancel the lease if they give 1 year's notice of an intention to demolish the building. Can I assume that no such notice has yet been given?
Correct. There's one other, there's an amendment to that, for the sake of clarity, if I may.
Right.
Let me get the amendment. In 2015.
Wait, go to the microphone.
Yeah. I'll take your word for it on what the amendment says. Go ahead.
Okay, in 2015, dated March 18th, 2015, the landlord amended it. And again, with the lease, extending the lease for a short period of time to terminate in approximately 36 months. November of 2025, October of 2025. And they extended the time in which the notice period from 12 months to 18 months.
Okay.
And that was the amendment to the lease. So we have a little more, approximately 3 years left on this lease with an 18-month notice demolition clause. So no buyer is going to buy this business and leave it where it is. It's just not going to happen. It makes it.
Can I ask?
You can also get a new application for a new store that's across the
That's
street.
my question. Why did you file a transfer application? If you had no intention, if your client had no intention of going into this store, all right, why not file a new application?
With a store 145 feet away from where we are?
You could have bought them out like you're doing now and just filed a new application.
Well, it's the same difference, isn't it?
No, because we didn't see the transfer application, did we?
No, you didn't.
It doesn't come to the board. So from now on, they are coming to the board.
Well, I was surprised to see the one approved out of licensing in the past. This has always been something that
Yeah, I
has,
sent it to the.
that has come up to the board. Look, in the 42 years I've been doing it, that's the way I've seen it done.
Well, there's no reason, there would be no reason for the transfer to come to the board because it would just get approved.
Don't play this game.
No, they should be coming up together, is what I'm saying.
There's no reason for the transfer,
All right.
okay? Because we can approve the transfer without approving the removal. And then your client has a license at 60, whether she likes it or not.
Well, she's not taking, the deal is
That's my point.
subject to approval of the removal.
That's my point. There was no need for the transfer application.
Well, this is the way it's,
Not anymore.
well, I mean, let's just, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it's news to me. This is the way we've done it. We've been doing it this way for, since I've been practicing before the liquor authority. So, I mean, this has always been standard procedure.
Mr. Fan, are you ready to vote?
I mean, the applicant has come up with a store that's going to be much better than the existing store. It's going to serve public convenience and advantage much better than the existing store. There's going to be there's a wine classroom, as you can see on the diagram, where winemakers will be coming in.
We're gonna vote here. Thank you.
I mean, this store did half the business from 19 to 20.
Because it's in a very affluent area. With COVID, a lot of people left. You found that happening on the Upper West Side. This is Park Avenue, a very affluent area.
If you came with a new application today, there's no chance that you will get a new store. So to close the store and move across the street, it's not, I don't know, it definitely certainly feels like you're gaming the system here somehow. And your client is not even going to work at the store. I don't really know what is.
Commissioner Fan, there was no intent to game the system. This is a standard way these applications have been done over the years. And the actual.
Why don't you tell me why your client wants a liquor store? She's a nurse.
Yes, she's a registered nurse. If she wants to speak to that, sure.
Yeah, can I say something? I've been traveling along as a visiting nurse, so I travel all Manhattan, all these 5 routes. It's brought me a lot of thinking, and especially during the pandemic. To be honest, I feel like liquor is not healthy, but is.
What did you just say?
She said
I know.
it's not healthy.
As a nurse, I have to tell you the truth. If you excessive,
I think that's been established, but
but it's
I'm
quite
wondering why
important.
then you're gonna press it on everybody.
But it's quite important. But it's quite important. Actually, it's to maintain your mental healthy. I think occasion why actually how people relaxing during the pandemic is quite important for my job. I've been talking with elderly, with the people around this area. They love the store, they love the location. They want to maintain the name even. But we've been telling them we may transfer to the store next to the street, across the street. They're willing to take that. You can see there's a lot of residents coming back from the Brooklyn. They already purchased this apartment in Brooklyn, but they're coming back to Manhattan. They feel this energy. So it's quite important for us really maintain this area to give them support. And we become friends, to be honest. I just feel like it's really necessary to have one like this. Especially for the elderly, they're not willing to traveling 2-3 more blocks to get the wine. They love the service, love everything. I don't see why there's just across the street. It's just right there.
Well, I think the question she was asking you is you don't really plan to work there, but
I gonna work at the weekends. As I have a 10 months old right now, but my friend, she gonna work for the store as a full time as a manager. I trust her. We always on phone.
This is the assistant manager.
And I have
WOW.
Yeah, right now I
the
actually
assistant manager in that store.
Right.
And she
really
that's
know the
how
business.
store, they found out about how she found out about the store, and the
currently,
assistant manager is
yeah.
going to stay on as manager.
And
It's
currently I
day-to-day
work from home, so it's giving me really opportunities to actually manage this. If they have needs, I will be right there. Yeah, there shouldn't be a problem for this. I really have confidence with Manhattan, this location.
You're going to continue nursing.
I'm going to continue practicing nursing as well, because I think it's quite important for both. To be honest, the alcohol actually changing my thinking. It's just for me. Maybe you think it's not, I don't know how to explain this, but that's quite important.
When you look at the actual sales area, we're going from 820 to 1230, including the fine wine room and the main sales area. When you add those two areas up, and those are the actual selling areas.
Well, for public interest, are you changing the pricing of your products going across the street, or are you keeping the same prices?
No, the products, there's going to be more room, so there's going to be more storage area. They'll be able to buy in deeper at this store. So they'll be able to present some better pricing. There's going to be things at this store that the other store does not have. You've got the
And
classroom.
prices are going to be lower than they were at when they were across the street. That's what you're telling me.
Because you'll be able to take advantage of better quantity discounts with the more room, especially the more storage area. And by doing that, whatever deals are available, obviously it depends on the deals, but they will be able to provide, the store will be able to provide better pricing than the other store right now. You're also going to have a classroom where there's going to be wine producers coming in to explain how wine is made. There's a dedicated room as a classroom. You see the tasting area. There's going to be a beautiful tasting area. There's going to be daily tastings going on that the other store is not able to do. There's going to be grand periodic tastings because of that tasting area, the size of the tasting area, where Ms. Cho's going to want to have 10 different distributors coming in with their products, where the consumers can come in and taste all the various types of things among 10 different tables.
Who's organizing that? She's already said she's not working at the store. You think there's this manager organizing 10 producers to come?
Well, Ms. Cho will be working to some extent at the store, involved in it, and there'll be a full-time manager that was the manager or is the current manager of WOW. So, that person has experience in this. Free delivery throughout New York State, as well as
well, I look forward to going to your store. It sounds like going to be Disneyland for
To be honest,
and it's still really small. You're making every argument under the sun at this point.
Well, if you look at the diagram, the floor plan, Commissioner Fan, you'll see the design of the store, and I think it's a really fine design, and it's much different than the normal store that you walk into. It's much different. You don't usually see this. Look at the area devoted to.
Yeah, I think the members
Can we
are
vote,
ready to
please?
vote. Yeah.
I will vote to approve.
Commissioner Ford
I'm going to vote to approve as well.
and Chairman.
I'm going to
Brown.
vote to approve as well.
Thank you.
And I wouldn't bring one of these again this way. Tom, from
Look,
now on.
if there was, this is your direction, I understand.
Stop. He's talking to me. We're changing that, so whenever there is a fictitious transfer with a removal, it's gonna come to you as a new application.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't get to ask any questions. There's a 1.2 million invested in this, and we have no idea where, I know your guys did look at it, but we didn't.
All right. Thank
We're
you.
good,
Yeah,
thank you.
you've been approved.
Thank you, good luck.
Congratulations.
We're moving back to Albany. Or moving to Albany now that they're back.
We just moved down here.
Yeah. Next is 807 Fuller's Tavern of Cortland, Inc.
Hello, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Cameron Fuller. I'm representing Fuller's Tavern of Cortland Incorporated. I'm here to ask that the restrictions on my license, mainly the ones of closing at 1 a.m. and the no DJ, no dancing, be lifted. First off, I'd like to thank the board for holding this case over. I'm kind of new to this, so I didn't know that I needed to be here last meeting, and I do appreciate you guys holding this over for me. I would like to point out that I do have a letter from the former mayor and the current mayor of Cortland in support of lifting these restrictions and my application. And I would also like to state that to this date, I know of no violations or incidents that have been reported to me, either through this board or from the city of Cortland. So.
How long have you had this place?
2020.
We opened in September of 2020.
So
I opened up during COVID.
So are you aware of why we shut the other place, correct?
Yes. Yes, I am.
And the problem was underage drinking was one of the problems.
Yes.
And you're right near a SUNY university, correct?
Correct.
They were not in school from 2020 all of 2020 and into 21, right?
No, that's not exactly correct. There was a small period where SUNY Cortland went to online classes in the fall of 2020, but they never went to online classes in the spring of 2021. And then, if my notes are correct, the COVID restrictions were eased in April of 2021 and were ended in May of 2021. So we have had 11 and a half months of basically no restrictions and full capacity.
That's my point. It's not 2 years, it's 1 year. You've been basically operating 1 year normally.
Correct.
I don't know that that's enough time for me.
But in the initial meeting when I was approved for my license, the board stated that after 1 year, I could reapply to have the restrictions removed.
I'm not saying you shouldn't have reapplied. I just don't know that I'm ready to give you all of this. This place was a bad problem. And I don't know how confident I am that it's not going to be again.
Well, I have had occasion to speak with some police officers from Cortland who have stated that it is a relief that they're not being called down there on a regular basis. You know, we haven't had any incidents inside that have caused any kind of problems, nothing out on the street. It's not a major focus for police activity anymore. You know, and you have a
if the members, sir, I believe the members are ready to vote now. Commissioner Fan?
Yes, I'm going to vote in the affirmative. 2 a.m. live and recorded music, DJ, jukebox, patron dancing.
Commissioner Ford?
Willing to give you till 2 a.m. I don't know about live, DJ, recorded, dancing, and all that at the same time. Do you really need all of that? Let me ask you.
Well, the reason why I'm here asking for this is that, you know, it's because of COVID and the economic impact and everything, I feel that I'm at a disadvantage compared to other places in the area that can offer something that I can't. And, you know, I'm trying to dig myself out of a hole financially and you know, make my situation better, get loans paid off, that sort of thing, which I am doing, but just barely. And
but you and there's no question. There's no question you are at a disadvantage, but you kind of earned it.
Yes.
I mean, you worked at the other place.
I don't believe that I earned it. I believe that the former owners of the establishment.
Didn't you work for them?
For a short period of time in the beginning, before most of these problems occurred, yes.
Commissioner Ford?
All right. I'll give you all you ask for, but just realize if you come back again, we're going to be going backwards here.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir. I understand.
And Chairman Bradley?
I'll approve the 2 a.m. I'm no DJ, no live music, no dancing.
All right, you've been approved.
Thank you very much.
Yep. I know we were in Albany, but we have an interpreter here in New York City that's been waiting, and I believe the applicant's present now. 769, is that room 100, Corp?
769?
769.
Good morning, members of the authority. Commissioner Ford, General Meyerhoff, General Counsel Bradley, Commissioner Fan, sit down here, Mr. Rowe. I'm here representing room 100. I'm here with the applicant, Gilberto Rosario, for a restaurant located on 100 Jamaica Avenue in Queens. Mr. Rosario, parece aquí al lado mío. On September 22nd, 2021, we applied for an on-premise license for a restaurant located at 100 Jamaica Avenue in Brooklyn, and we're presenting today. The applicant respectfully requests the granting of this application for the following reasons. He's obtained all the support of his local elected officials in the area, including the community board. The applicant has hired a manager, Richard Pascale, with the experience necessary, over 20 years of training, ASAP certification at some of the top restaurants in the city, to co-manage the location with him and make sure the location is securely supervised and managed at all times. The premises will have 2 licensed security guards as needed if we need it on the weekends. We understand with the current climate outside and in that area, we understand that the location was a previously problematic location. The applicant wants to make sure that we don't have any issues. All staff will be ATAP certified and trained. The location will be soundproof. The applicant verbally agreed to reach out to the precinct to make sure he's in compliance, so he's going to check in regularly, and so am I with him, because we want to make sure that we don't have any issues at the location. The method of operation will include recorded music, karaoke, and live music, consisting of non-amplified jazz, mariachi, what our community is requiring, or what the community really demands when they go into a Latin restaurant in a predominantly Latin community. It's an open space. It will provide a unique dining experience, and our applicant here today has the experience necessary to run a restaurant in this neighborhood. He is from the neighborhood, and he has taken measures to make sure that we run an establishment that deserves a liquor license here today.
Members have any questions?
Hold on one second.
What are the hours? What is he looking for?
We're looking at 11 a.m. till 2 a.m. and then 4 a.m. Friday, Saturday.
I don't think that's what you put in
It's
your
not.
application.
I think.
I think that we had agreed to 2 a.m. all the way around.
Right.
But,
You're not agreeing to that anymore?
Well, no, we wanted just Friday, Saturday only because it's getting challenging to be able, the clientele in that area starts getting dressed at 11, leaves at 12 and starts eating at 1, and it's hard to hurry them out within an hour, but whatever the authority decides.
And what are the relevant experience that you were talking about? Can he answer the question?
It's not on the application.
Bueno, todo el tiempo que he estado acá en este país,
All the
siempre
time I have been here in the country,
he trabajado
I have
en
been working
restaurantes.
in restaurants.
And what year since when was that?
¿Y desde cuándo es que usted está en este país, señor?
Desde el año 2010.
Since 2010.
Okay.
We also have the manager here, Chairman.
What kind of work has he done in restaurants?
¿Qué tipo de trabajo usted hacía en el restaurante?
Bueno, yo comencé trabajando primeramente de busboy.
I started working as busboy,
Hasta llegar a ser manager en turno de la noche en el
working
restaurante Estrella Latina.
working up my way until I become a manager of the restaurant.
En Estrella Latina.
And in Latin Star.
No.
Ahí en Queens.
Estrella Latina.
Estrella Latina is a restaurant in Queens.
It's a restaurant in Queens, and he was a manager during the evenings.
None of that is in the application.
No, this is
It
an
actually-
application.
It's in his personal
No,
questionnaire,
it's not.
Commissioner.
It just says he was a general helper at a restaurant and a pizzeria. A general helper.
But you were asking for his experience since 2010, Commissioner Fan. He worked at Estrella Latina there.
So
in
he
the-
was a general helper 2014 to 2018 in a Dominican restaurant here in Freeport. And then I have 2014 to March of 2020, he's a general helper at Papa John's in Freeport.
Yes.
So which part am I missing here, where he's the manager? Is that before 2014 when he was general manager?
You only go back 5 years, correct?
That's
Okay,
not-
but you
that's
said,
not correct either.
but that,
It says, the question on the application is where have you lived or worked within the last 5 years? And that is exactly what we give you.
No, it says all employment for the last 5 years, and then any relevant work, no matter when, no matter what date.
We can amend it and add that in to the application.
No, but what he's talking about seems to be more recent than when he was general helper at Papa John's, and that's not reflected here. That's all I'm saying, is what he just said is written on here.
When was he what years was he the manager of Estrella or whatever restaurant you're referring to?
Por como el 2012, por ahí, 12, 13.
2012, 2013, Your Honor.
Okay, none of that is on here, so do you guys want to just clean this up? And
After
then-
he was the manager of a restaurant, he became the helper in a pizzeria? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically, that's what
Helper
they're
is,
saying.
it's literally translated.
De la pizzería.
Lo que sucede es que
What happened is,
con el salario.
Speak
Wait.
up into the microphone, please.
what happened is with the salary,
Oh, ok, entonces es por el asunto de los salarios.
is because of the
O sea,
salary situation.
Yo gano más dinero
I make
allá
more
que
money
siendo el mismo manager allá.
that make me the manager in Estrella Latina.
Members have any other questions?
Ask him if he's aware of the problems that this restaurant has had in the past.
¿Usted está al tanto de los problemas que tenía el restaurante en el pasado?
He escuchado
I have
que
here
ha tenido algunos problemas,
There have been some problems,
pero
but
ha sido algo que personas que yo no conozco.
that
que
happened with persons that I don't know,
es va a tener un nuevo dueño.
and it will be a new owner.
Nosotros vamos a hacer un mejor trabajo.
We are going to do a better job.
Por esa razón,
And
yo
that's the
tengo
reason
al manager, a Richie,
I have the manager,
el
Richie,
cual me va a ayudar a administrar el negocio.
who's going to help me out with
Tiene
the
mucha
business,
experiencia también en
and
eso,
he also have a long experience
para evitar los posibles problemas que se pudieron ocurrir en el pasado.
to avoid the problems that happened in the past.
Could you explain?
Go ahead.
Could you explain to him, sir, that our concerns here are
Nuestra
the
preocupación aquí
history of the place
es
before
el historial del
and the
lugar.
fact that he is
y el
applying
hecho-
for generally the same type of method of operation.
I cannot hear you very well. Sorry
Could you,
about that.
could you explain to him that
Sí,
our
explicar.
concerns here
Nuestras
are
preocupaciones son que
the history of this place,
el historial de este lugar.
and that's why we ask him,
Y esa es la razón por la cual le preguntamos a él
does he understand the
si él
history of this
entiende
place
el historial de este lugar
and why it got canceled
y por qué fue cancelado.
accordingly,
De acuerdo.
when it seems like he's trying to open up a pretty similar method of
Cuando
operation.
se ve que él quiere abrir un lugar similar al que tuvo
That-
anteriormente.
That's the board's concern,
Esa es la preocupación de la Junta aquí.
one of them anyway.
Una de ellas.
Una de ellas.
One of them, yeah.
Yes.
Bueno, como le dije,
As like I say,
esas fueron personas que manejaron ese negocio.
That's where people
Nosotros
that
somos
manage
un personal nuevo,
the place,
el cual,
and we
como ya
are
hemos
a
escuchado de
new,
los problemas anteriores,
and we are
nosotros
new people managing the place, and we are trying to, we are going to do a better job.
Entonces vamos a trabajar para
So,
evitar
we're gonna
esos
work
problemas que pudieron ocurrir
to
en el
avoid all
pasado.
these problems that they happened in the past.
Por eso vamos a tener
That's the
la
reason that
medida
we're gonna
necesaria,
have
security,
security in the right,
para
the
que
right
los-
amount of
los
security.
clientes que vayan pues se sientan seguros en el
So
lugar.
the customers that they come, they're gonna feel safe.
And we also have the manager here, Chairman Bradley,
Uh,
that he's hired to co-manage the location. And this manager didn't come today. He's been his plan, method of operation since the beginning of this application, almost a year ago.
Can you ask him if he knows Elaine Almonte?
Aleino Mate. ¿Usted conoce a Aleino Mate?
Aleino?
Aleino Mate.
Elaine.
Alein.
No, no.
How did he find this place?
¿Cómo fue que encontró este lugar, señor?
Oh, yo manejaba por la zona.
I was
entonces
driving
vino-
in the
vino un
area,
letrero
so I saw a sign
donde decía que se rentaba.
where
y luego tomé el número
the
y
sign
llamé.
say for rent. So I called and
Tomé el número y llamé a la persona. Y
I called the person of the place.
And who loaned him the money to open it?
¿Quién le prestó el dinero para abrir el lugar?
ha sido los ahorros de,
Savings
de los años de trabajo.
of my work years.
Más algunas cositas que algunos
plus
familiares también me
help
hayan
from the
contado.
family members of mine.
All right.
We have the manager here as well, Chairman Bradley, if you guys have any questions.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Are the members ready to vote, or do you want to?
If she wants to send it back for the work experience, that's fine. I don't care.
Commissioner Fan?
I don't see sufficient work experience. I don't see sufficient financial investment here. I'm gonna vote to deny.
If I may, you, last week, on the last board, you gave a person who is dying of cancer 5 locations unmanaged by the owner. You asked that they have a manager. We have a manager in our application today. It seems to me that there is one standard for one group and one standard for another. This man put his life savings on there, took the rent into the location, Commissioner Fan. There seems to be a standard for Latinos and a standard for another part of the country, another part of the state, another part of the city. He came in with a plan here. I hate to see a guy who puts his life savings into location and that it be taken like it's nothing. This is not fair. The liquor authority should evaluate the owner, at least hear from his manager. 20 years experience in some of the top cities in the city. This is not fair. I ask that the board entertain at least listening to the manager. I don't think this is fair.
What happens if the next 2 votes are in your favor, Ms. Tavares?
That it would be fair.
Is the board still racist for that?
I never said racist. I said the standard seems to be different.
Well, what do you think it means when you say that
The
there's one
standard is
excuse
different.
me.
Gary,
We gave you your chance to
Yes.
speak. You need to stop when I'm speaking. Make no mistake, when you say there's one standard for Latinos and one standard for everybody else, you are accusing people of racism. That is a serious charge. If you think that's not racism,
if we
then maybe
compare
you should
this to the
reconsider-
license
You're
that
not gonna
was.
let me finish?
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
If you think that's not racism, you're mistaken. And if you'd like to withdraw what you just said, now that I'm telling you that it's perceived as racism, I give you the floor to do so.
I will withdraw what I said.
Thank
What
you.
I'm asking
And I
is,
think- And once again, you don't know how this board's going to vote. There, one commissioner voted. But the other thing that you keep failing to realize is perhaps your applications, the ones you prepare, do get rejected. And the reason they get rejected is because, as she just pointed out, they're not complete.
Chairman Bradley, we've been giving you historically 5
I'm
years.
not done either.
Okay.
You came with an application. In your letter, you spout off about the experience that this gentleman has. None of it is on the application. That's one. 2, you come with an application where not once was the previous license canceled. It was canceled twice. And then you come in with the same method of operation, knowing that we generally do not approve the same method of application, same method of operation when we have multiple cancellations at a
I'm not asking for the same method of operation. They had 4 a.m.
asking for
closing.
live
I'm not
music.
asking for DJ. I'm not asking for DJ, which you always say is.
Self-examine the work you are producing and giving to this agency before you start calling Commissioner Fan racist.
Chairman Bradley, I think that also in your application, you should be clear. 5 years experience is usually the standard on all applications.
Can you read the question to her verbatim?
That's what we give you, 5 years. And I've given for 10 years, I've given you 5 years worth of history. And I'm sure that if we foil all the applications, I'll give you 5 years worth
List
of
your
history.
employment history for the past 5 years to present day.
Correct.
Also list any employment history that shows experience in the alcohol industry. Add additional sheets if necessary. You put down 3 experiences. Just the president of this particular applicant, general helper at Papa John's in 2014 to 2022, and then there's another duplicating same time frame, 2014 to 2018. He's a general helper as a Dominican restaurant. Also, both of those locations in Freeport.
It's not a Dominican restaurant, it's called Dominican
According to
restaurant.
your application, he has no experience even working in Brooklyn and no managerial experience.
But he came in here and added to the supplement.
Tell me that it's his life savings. You put in income from my previous job, 2019 income tax return.
That's where he got the money.
$16,000.
That's what he had, 16,000 in the bank. We provided bank
But
statements.
I'm telling
They don't
you.
need to
Okay,
provide 10,000,
so
$1
look,
million.
I do this. I've been doing this for 4 years. With the amount of investment he's putting in and the work experience you've shown me, that doesn't justify this giant business where you're talking about multiple security guards. You want 4 a.m., you want this, that, and the
So
other.
then limit me, but don't deny a license, and let's prove that he can operate an establishment. In this climate,
We
Commissioner
asked you,
Fan.
Commissioner Ford, first question he asked you is, what time do you want? If you had just said, hey, I just want to start a restaurant, give this guy opportunity. He's got not enough experience, but we just want a restaurant. You should have said 11 a.m. recorded, and you would have gotten it, and we still wouldn't be.
But every restaurant doesn't operate closing at.
You started with 4
You want to
a.m.
change an entire industry. Restaurants close at 4 a.m. You give it to Bagatelle.
Canceled twice.
Okay, so limit them, Chairman Bradley. I'm not asking you to do something that you don't do. Okay, can
It
you
was
give
your
us?
job to come here and represent your client in the best way forward.
best way
Not
is to
to
get
just
him
say
the
4 a.m. and
maximum
see what we do.
The maximum hours. You give 4 a.m. all over the city. Bagatelle closes at 4 a.m.
No, we
DJ,
don't.
karaoke.
We actually
everything.
don't. I've been here for 4 years. We almost never give 4 a.m. Everybody else knows.
So give us 2 a.m., give us 1 a.m., but don't close down a business, because you know a Latin restaurant without a liquor license is dead. In this economy, we're trying to bring them back and bring communities back, and it seems like sometimes it's taken, it's not
Sometimes
taken
I'm
for
trying to
granted.
help you out by saying
You
that.
are helping me, and next time it'll be better. But for this opportunity, he came and whatever was lacking in the application, he came and fulfilled it in the
That's
representation.
not the way this works. The information
Then
is
why
supposed
come
to be
to-
in the application.
Then why come to the board if to explain, we came to introduce
Why
you
do the application if it's not going to have all the information?
Chairman Bradley, we came here with the manager to explain the method of operation. The security, he wants a secure location to secure it for the people in the area. We understand that there were problems in the past. I even foiled the app. I said, are you sure you want to do this? Aurelia, I'm a different owner. Why do I have to be measured by the stick that the other person was measuring? This is a new owner.
He has no experience
He
on
had
paper.
He came and represented the rest of in Estrella Latina. He was a manager. He's been working in restaurants.
Nobody here is under
Okay.
oath. Nobody here is under oath.
Whatever
But
he's
they come in
lacking.
and lie to us regularly.
Okay, I don't know about
Why
that.
don't you just take the opportunity to update your actual application and give us the personal questionnaire for the manager?
We
And then
did,
maybe
it's in the application. The personal questionnaire is in the application, absolutely. It's in the application, his name is Rich Pascali. Can we hear from the manager? And maybe because he realized that where he was lacking, he could have supplemented it with the employee.
Before we go there, I would like to say one thing about the law here, okay? Because I am the person who litigates these cases, and I'm very familiar with it. You happen to apply routinely for places that have been closed. Listen, just listen. Routinely, including this case, for places that have been closed, you ask for a similar or same method of operation with an owner
Forcibly closed.
with an owner who lacks experience. The owner is in the license for good until he comes back and seeks to change it. I cannot tell you how many times we have a manager come in here and the manager is gone within 6 months. Or the first time there's discipline there, the person who identifies themselves as the manager is not the person who appeared. Happens all the time. The board has a duty that you are disregarding. And that is to make sure that what they're hearing about a place that could cause danger to the public. There's gunfire in the streets. You know that, right? Danger to the public has a duty to make sure that it does things to avoid that. Having someone in place who's never run a place anywhere close to this, when there's a track record here, puts the public at risk.
I understand.
Okay? Now, when you make mistakes in the application and just correct them, there's two ways of interpreting that. One is that the work was done haphazardly. The other is that you're trying to slide an operation into the board and get it approved, and then something else is going to happen. And when questions are asked about that, all of a sudden the story changes. That looks like it's misleading. That's why it is so critical that when you put the personal questionnaire together, especially in a location like this, that you make sure you have every bit of experience listed on that application. The fact that it's not there, and now you're saying he was the manager in a place when it would be so obvious, so helpful to put that on the application, it sounds like bull. That's what happens. That's a big reason why applications don't get approved.
Okay.
This is all under your control to fix.
All right, can we vote on this, please? I know you did. Go ahead,
Votes.
Commissioner Ford.
Commissioner Ford.
With all that being said, I'm still trying to digest being a member of a board that treats people differently. It's an affront and an insult to my parents who raised me to not treat people as groups, but to treat people as individuals. So I take offense to that, but I'm going to let you slide on it since you took it back.
I apologize as well. That wasn't my intention.
Thank you. To that end, I have concerns that everyone else does here, but I'm still going to vote to approve at 2 a.m., no dancing, no DJ, only live, small mariachi type music. That's it, nothing like that, no live bands, nothing along those terms.
No DJ, música
No amplified music, you know what I mean.
música amplificada, nada.
So,
All right.
and also I'm going to request that you submit an amended personal questionnaire with experience that you've told us about today.
Con la experiencia.
And also explain that he's on a short leash with this place that has been canceled twice already. That's all I have to say.
Chairman Bradley.
I'll vote to approve, but not 2 a.m., so I'm going to ask you to go back 1 a.m. No karaoke. You can have a live acoustic only. 2 security guards every night of the week.
Dos security toda la noche.
Chef on premises at all hours.
Tiene que tener un chef.
That's it.
I'll go with that.
And if the manager ceases to be employed by that restaurant, we are to have a personal questionnaire of a new manager before the new manager steps foot on the premise.
Cuando cambia Richie, tiene que, si lo cambia, si se va, tiene que buscar un manager.
Are you good with that?
Yes, yeah.
And I would suggest that you probably refrain from accusing anybody on this board of what you accused them of today.
I will do so going forward.
All right. Good luck.
No, muchas gracias y que
He wants to say
cualquier
thank you very
impasse,
much,
por
my
favor,
honors,
que nos perdone.
and please apologize.
Y que tengan un feliz día.
He has nothing to apologize about.
Y que tengan un feliz día para todos.
Dice que no tiene nada que pedir.
Feliz día para todos.
Happy.
And thank you too, sir.
Thank you.
Great
You're
job.
welcome, Your Honor. Everybody here. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Back to Albany. 831. That's WENZEL Properties.
My name is Jody Wenzel, and this is my partner Nicole Lefebvre. We're here representing Wenzel Properties to request reconsideration and approval of our off-premise license. When we submitted our license on Nicole's personal questionnaire, we included that she is an elementary school
Just to cut
special
you
ed.
off, sir, to cut
Yes.
you off. Your request for reconsideration was already granted,
Okay,
and now just the license application is back before the board.
okay,
So you don't have to get into the issues with the personal questionnaire and the prior employment.
Does anybody have a
Okay.
problem?
No.
You have a problem? All right, Don, I'm going to stop you there. Donald, go ahead.
I'm
We're
gonna
gonna
vote to approve.
All right, Commissioner Ford.
You're located like basically in the middle of nowhere. So I assume it's public convenience and advantage for somebody. It's definitely not competition for anybody. So I'm going to vote to approve as well.
Thank you.
And I don't mean that disparagingly. I'm just saying it's out there. Yeah. I'm from upstate New York, so you know what I mean? I know what I'm talking about.
I know.
I'm going to vote to approve as well. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Next is 774, DESHI BHAI Inc.
To be contacted by license.
774.
774.
Hello, this is Daniel Reynolds. I'm an attorney with Crowley and Reynolds in Binghamton, and I'm here with MD Mia, and he's one of the co-owners of DESHI BHAI Inc.
So let me stop you there. Is he aware of why he was denied last time?
He is. Yes,
And
he is.
so going forward, should something like that happen again, he won't get another one. He's
No, I
aware of that.
understand that, Chairman, I understand that.
Okay, I think we can vote, Tom.
All right, Commissioner Fan,
Yep, I'm gonna vote to approve.
Commissioner Ford,
I think it's been long enough. I'm going to vote to approve as well.
and
I'll
Chairman
vote to
Bradley.
approve.
All right, thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you.
so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, Paula, you might want to keep, go ahead and keep the feed up for a little longer, okay?
Yes,
So
sir.
why don't we do that now?
Thank you.
They're working on it.
Oh, okay.
Want to move on?
Yeah.
Is one here?
Yeah, move on.
Wait
Go
till
ahead.
they
Oh, the red?
They'll be here. They're in.
All right.
take a brief recess.
No.
No, let's just do it. All right, well,
Dragged her down here for that.
well,
Yeah.
well, move forward.
Do I have
pretty
that?
fast. Next up is
No,
8:30
no.
Here they come.
Yeah, well,
834H.
No, I don't have that. For those of you watching in the audience, this is most of our staff, and well, a good portion of our staff in Albany. We're waiting on somebody else. Is she coming?
Yeah.
Probably saying what? She's probably saying, "What the hell are you guys up to? What's going on?"
Our agency once in a while have humanizing moments. This is one of them we're planning.
Yeah, I'd to take her.
Expect the last two to.
All right, tell her, come on. We've been waiting
I see
long enough.
you. You get in, Kim.
No.
And this is the other part of our staff. At the podium there is Kim Chacon, who is currently our Deputy Commissioner in charge of administration. She is retiring Friday after 37 years of service. This is a bittersweet announcement on my part because from day one, she basically... How you got me all upset.
Wow, I've never seen that happen before.
She basically took care of me and has taken care of the whole agency since she's been there. And we probably won't see the likes of her again. 37 years. She started there when she was 18. And I'm not going to do the math for you, but she's obviously retiring early, and we hope her all the best. We're giving her a resolution of recognition and appreciation, whereas Kim Chacon is retiring after 37 years. You got it.
Oh my gosh. Is retiring after 37 years of service with the State Liquor Authority, and whereas Kim, as she's known to all of us, began her career in 1985 and has held numerous positions, mostly recently serving as Director of Admission and now Deputy Commissioner of Administration. And whereas Kim has been an invaluable asset to the members of the authority, every bureau of the agency, and the employees, and whereas Kim has earned the respect and admiration of both her colleagues and her team for her dedication, her work ethic, and her willingness to assist others, and whereas Kim will be sorely missed by those who have had the pleasure of working with her over the course of her career at the State Liquor Authority, it is hereby resolved on behalf of ourselves and the entire staff of the authority that we hereby acknowledge the exemplary service of Kimberly Chacon to this agency and extend to her family our sincere appreciation for her many years of service to the State Liquor Authority, and extend to her our best wishes for a healthy, fulfilling, and long-lived and retirement.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And I do want to add, she made this place. I'm gonna add, she made this place run long before I ever got here. And I think we're all gonna hopefully figure out a way to get along without her, but it would not have run the way it did without her over the last, I know over the last 37 years. So I want to thank you personally, and I think we all want to thank you. And good luck.
Thank you. She's
Thank
literally
you.
why we're sitting here today, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because of her.
That's why we're here.
So.
Kim, I just want to add to what the chairman said. I mean, I've only been here 6 years, but your help to me and guidance and everything else, especially at the beginning and throughout all this time, has been invaluable. Even times when I think I seem like an idiot who just didn't get it, but I really appreciate your patience with me. So God bless you and good luck. We're
We
gonna miss
love you, Kim.
All right.
Thank you very much. I missed you guys.
I meant.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Yeah, I think we may want to take a.
No, we're good.
Sure.
We'll let you
Take
go.
a brief recess. We'll be back on the record shortly.
Not fair, guys.
And Paula, that should be it, right? In Albany, so you can go ahead and.
Yes, sir, that's it.
Yep, you can go ahead and sign off and head back. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we're back on the record after a brief recess. Next is 775, Everything's Fine, LLC. Everything's fine.
Donna, what number again, please?
775.
Joseph Levy here on behalf of the applicant. I have with me an applicant principal. I believe there is opposition present.
I'm in opposition. Should I speak first?
Yes.
Francis Buscemi for, in opposition, I represent Bedford and 4 Wine, Inc., one of the 4 closest stores. Bedford Wine, Bedford is located 237 Bedford Avenue in Brooklyn. It purchased the business of Uva Wine, Inc. in January of 2022. Everything's Fine wants to remove its store 4 miles from 300.
Your client purchased their store in 222?
My client purchased the store at 237 Bedford Avenue in Brooklyn.
Okay.
It purchased Uva Wine, Inc. in January of 2022. My client is Bedford N4. The seller of that store was Uva Wine, Inc., and my client's DBA is Uva Wines. Everything's Fine is moving 4 miles from 300 Livingston Street to 242 Wythe Avenue. The applicant, in its reasons, and on the application, its reason for requesting the removal is to relocate the premises next door to an existing business, which the applicant has already. Although that might serve the convenience of the applicant, it certainly doesn't necessarily serve public convenience and advantage. The annual sales of the applicant for 2020 show as being $230,000. That does not indicate that any additional space that the new location would give to the applicant is necessary due to any kind of rapid growth that the applicant is seeing in its business. I want to point out that in July of 2021, the Liquor Authority disapproved a new liquor store license application of Domino Wines and Liquors, Inc. That is located 500 feet away from the applicant's proposed location. Also, 6/10 of a mile from Domino's Wine and Liquors location, the applicant did approve an application, Kent Wines and Liquors. As I indicated in my submission, Bedford N4 commenced operations in January of 2022. The Liquor Authority obtained the gross sales figures of its predecessor, the store purchased from Uva Wines. Uva Wines shows a $570,000 decrease in sales from 2019 to 2020. Bedford N4's gross sales for the first quarter of 2020 or 2022 are $360,213, indicating a continuing decrease in the overall sales of the business. Bedford N4 and ST and RY are 2/10 of a mile from the proposed location. Peter Wines is 3/10 of a mile, and Alexander Wines is 4/10 of a mile. Within 1 mile of the proposed location, there are 17 stores, liquor stores, 11 of which are within a half mile of the proposed location. Bedford N4 has a very substantial inventory of New York and Brooklyn products. It has one of the largest selections in Williamsburg. It has one of the largest selections of natural, organic, and biodynamic wines. And the store provides free delivery service in the area. So it is serving the needs or the public convenience and advantage of the area. We don't believe that the applicant is demonstrating any need for another store to be put in this place, certainly not a removal 4 miles away from its current location. Thank you.
Is this your client right here?
No, I'm a different store.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Joshua Kelly. I'm from STNRV. Pretty much reiterate everything gentleman here said, hitting a couple points. very close to all of our locations, roughly 2 blocks. It's not providing any advantage to the public for location as well. Looking at sales, I can speak for my store and Pier. Unfortunately, Daniel is at a surgery today, but we're both down in the double digits. I'm at about 15, he's at about 20% this year. So sales in the neighborhood are definitely hitting a little hard. I think when we sent in our numbers, that didn't take into account 2022. As well, Bedford definitely offers a great selection. So does the rest of the neighborhood. We're all owner-operators in Brooklyn. We're at our stores all the time. We are directly addressing what the customers need and what they're looking for. I don't see how a store is going to be able to come in and offer things that we're not currently giving to the neighborhood. That pretty much covers it, everything gentleman here said. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention before I started my presentation, my client is Ms. Chen. She's unable to be here today. She's traveling. She had prearranged some travel and is unable to be here, or else she would have been here.
Thank you.
Mr. Levy?
Okay, again, Joseph Levy here on behalf of the applicant. Everything's fine. I have with me Nicolina Mavros, one of the principals of the application. Nicolina and her partners run a number of gourmet grocery stores throughout the city. They appeared before you 4+ years ago to get a wine store license for downtown Brooklyn that would be adjacent to one of their gourmet grocery stores there. The idea had always been to have a tightly curated wine-only store, focusing on local producers, small batch, hard to find items, and to run it in cooperation, more or less, with their gourmet food store directly next door. With Ms. Mavros's history and career starting in the cheese world, moving into the wine world, where she's now a certified sommelier, the plan was always to allow patrons to provide an extra convenience and advantage, the extra opportunity for people to go into one store, buy a cheese plate, potentially buy some other materials for catering, and then to go next door and find wines that perfectly pair. That was always the goal, that was always the plan, and they appeared here over 4 years ago and got that approval. The downtown Brooklyn application and the downtown Brooklyn neighborhood did not exactly move forward as expected. It was a tougher road to hoe there. They have other gourmet food stores throughout Brooklyn as well. They had a problem with the gourmet food store in downtown Brooklyn. They had tried to reinvent themselves a few different times. It just was not working. COVID was sort of the last nail in the coffin there. That store had closed finally. The other retail stores in that neighborhood on that block specifically closed, and the wine store was more or less on an island. Nicolina oftentimes mans the store herself, not the safest environment to be in. And it wasn't just COVID. It was COVID. It was the social unrest based on other things happening in the country at the time. And downtown Brooklyn by herself in that store, devoid of all foot traffic, any kind of students going back and forth to class, people commuting, they were just on an island and it just wasn't working. They engaged their landlord to leave the space, and they were planning to close the store. They didn't want to close the store, but that was the plan. They have another location in Williamsburg. When word spread that they were closing their wine store, their landlord approached them about an opportunity to reopen in Williamsburg next to their other gourmet food store. In a sort of good situation coming out of a bad one, very serendipitously, the timing lined up. And here we are. They have an operating store in Williamsburg that's very strong. Nicolina and her partners all live in Williamsburg. They know that neighborhood. They know that area very well. They live there. There's an incredible amount of growth happening there. Are there 4 close stores that are closer than I'd like them to be? Of course, but they're all full-blown liquor stores. She is a very specific niche wine store, and the idea being that this wine store will work in partnership with her gourmet food store that literally it shares a wall with. It's on the other side of the wall, the direct next door neighbor. This is also on Wythe Avenue, and if you're familiar with this area of Williamsburg, this is the only store that would be on Wythe Avenue. All the other stores that you've heard from are on different avenues in Williamsburg. None are on Wythe. You see the distances on the map I provided. They are tight. However, if you look at the crow flies number versus the actual walking distance number, they are longer. So we believe that Nicolina and her team will provide a different experience for consumers in the always booming area of Williamsburg. We believe that in conjunction with her store next door, that will be a nice feature for people in the neighborhood. And not only is she a wine-only store, so she will not carry any spirits whatsoever, she's familiar with all of these stores. She's even worked in one of them for an extended period. And she's done her research, and as you can see by the materials we submitted, there's over 96% will be unique SKUs, products that are not carried in the 4 closest stores. And this will all be in addition to the delivery, the tasting, the approachable experience. And with respect to the, my colleague mentioned earlier about the disapprovals that this board has handed down to 2 other applicants in the remote neighborhood, I would just mention that they're both liquor stores and they're both brand new stores as opposed to wine stores. And a removal from someone who has been a licensee by this authority with grocery beer stores for her gourmet food shops for many years, and with a wine store in a different area of Brooklyn for over 4 years. I would also indicate that, I've looked at the numbers as you guys have in front of you, and it does look like a few of the numbers have actually gone up, and one's constant and one's dipped a bit. But the first store that opposed, that's a healthy business that they bought right across the street from a Whole Foods. They have their own part of the town. This is a very different part, even though it's not all that far away based on the concentration of people in the neighborhood. If you have any questions, I'm here. Nicolene is here to answer them.
The grocery store, how many locations are there?
Currently, the Williamsburg location has been there for 12 years. The other 2 are now closed.
I see. And so last time you came in, it was to park the wine store next to one of those closed ones.
Correct.
And now you want to move it to, is this the original location?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And what's the size difference?
It's roughly the same.
It's the same?
Yeah.
It's about 58% larger, isn't it, in terms of square footage?
I think they have a basement.
Yeah, the retail footprint is very comparable.
They have a basement for storage where the other one didn't.
Got it.
Okay.
Who's ready to vote?
Given that you're already branded in your area, I feel silly that was why we found public convenience last time, and now I have to do it again. But it is definitely public convenience and advantage to move her store closer to her other grocery store, so I'm going to vote to approve.
Commissioner Ford?
I understand, I love Williamsburg. It's a shining area of New York City. And it is a busy area, growing. So I think I'm going to vote to approve.
And Chairman Bradley?
I don't deny that there is some convenience to having it next to the specialty grocery store, but there's just too many stores in this area, and we did just deny one, with 500 feet away. So I would vote to deny, but good luck.
Thank you.
Next is 784 and 785, MSR Baku International Inc.
Francis Buscemi for the licensee.
784.
This is a conditional no contest plea offer of $6,000 civil penalty.
Solid step.
Hang on a second. 784, 75.
784?
784
75. I'm going to move to dismiss in the first proceeding 4 and 5. 2 sides were open, as they're supposed to be, and there were curtains that could have been closed, but they were open. So they weren't closed. So I'm going to move to dismiss those 2 charges. But I'll accept the $6,000 nonetheless.
Which charges were they again? I'm sorry.
4 and 5 and the first proceeding.
I'll agree with that.
Okay.
For the record, I assume you're still offering 6,000 with
Yes,
those
yes.
adjustments? All right.
Yes. Unless the board would like to reduce that.
Well, I need to make sure that you're still making an offer, so it's a
I'm
conditional.
still making an offer, obviously, if the board would.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, you were okay with
Yes,
dismissal
yeah,
and
yes.
accepting?
I mean,
Okay.
I'm always thinking, down the road.
Yes, you are.
Next is
right, have a good day.
771 AM Liquor Inc.
Hello.
771.
771. Hi, my name is Jay Patel. I'm from Brighton Liquor, Syracuse, New York. And I applied for the alteration for 700 square feet.
I'm okay with that.
Yep.
I'm gonna vote to approve.
Commissioner Ford?
771, the closest store is no longer licensed. Right, so I'm going to vote to approve as well.
I'll vote to approve. Good luck.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for coming down.
Next is 830 Montauk Atlantic Terrace Hotel Operating Group, LLC, and Bridgeton Hotel Management, LLC.
We know what you're watching.
I swear I was not watching Netflix.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Terrence Flynn on behalf of the applicant. I believe there's opposition here. You would like them to speak first?
Yes, please.
First things first, as long as this is being recorded, I do want to join you in congratulating the Deputy Commissioner as a lifelong resident of New York State. We certainly appreciate civil servants like herself, so if that's recorded, I second. This is, my name is Tim Brosnan. I'm here on behalf of the Surfside Estates Association. I'm not counsel, I'm just a member of the community. I'm a resident and a member of the Surfside Estates Association. Our simple point in opposition to these licenses is that context matters and that credibility matters. I'm sure you're all familiar with the file. This is a residential zone, all residential, that has one parcel that was grandfathered after the 1968 rezoning. The context is simple. We just don't believe as members of the community that a nightclub belongs in a residential district. So it follows that we're here to oppose the grant of any license on that property. Furthermore, we oppose the grant of any license to this applicant for reasons that this board is very familiar, if you recall the last application process. The same reasons exist today, which is the applicant is often not consistent with the facts. You turned down the last license because the application told the court one thing and told you another, Mr. Chairman. I remember you being particularly interested in that. And what we're finding with the new application is that, to a certain degree, the same circumstances exist. So again, we're asking the board to reject any license for this application. And just to point a few of the inconsistencies in the application, which we think creates this credibility issue that I mentioned earlier, the applicant claims that it's a year-round business. It's not. It's a seasonal business that closes for 4 months a year. The applicant claims that they have a restaurant. They do not have a restaurant. It's a snack bar. You can't call it a restaurant and make it a restaurant. They claim they have 5 public restrooms. The current CO has 2 public restrooms marked on it. They claim they have a private beach with seating 75. And in fact, in your deficiency letter, you've requested proof of that. And I contend, and I think the town law is, the town code is consistent with our contention, and that is that they'll never be able to separate off or cordon off, as you've requested in your deficiency letter, this quote-unquote private beach, because the town code prohibits them blocking pedestrian traffic on the beach. and I don't know if this is germane to your inquiry, so please stop me if it's not, but our understanding from a reliable source is that since this application was made, the applicant has recapitalized the business. And again, we don't know exactly how it was recapitalized. We were told that. So the question for the board is, if it was, should their ownership structure that comes in, I think, as item 9, should it be amended to reflect that? And should those other persons in the recapitalization be proved to be worthy of a license? So all that is consistent with this MO, the MO being inconsistency. And then as to each of the 2 specific licenses, Mr. Donahue was correct in pointing out to this board that there was a settlement agreement regarding the property between East Hampton and this owner. This applicant then takes that settlement to say that the method of operation, which is they're asking for 2 bars, the proposed method of operation complies with the settlement agreement and the C of O. We don't believe that's correct. The first bar, it is called out in the settlement agreement. It is called out in one of the C of Os. So if you decide that that in fact is correct, we just ask that you apply all the restrictions in the settlement to that particular license. But as to the second license, for the so-called snack bar for retail use only, there simply is nowhere that calls for a bar to be permitted there. It's not called a bar or restaurant in the C of O. It's not called out.
Can I address that with you briefly?
Sure.
The settlement agreement settled litigation. The litigation didn't challenge the snack bar. That's why it doesn't say anything about the snack bar in the settlement agreement. That's my understanding of it. I've looked very closely at all of the litigation papers, and I may be wrong about that.
No, and you probably more well-informed than I.
So that's one issue, and the other is that when you say there's an inconsistency about the restaurant, your town has a different definition for restaurant than the ABC law has. So your town defines this as a snack bar, not a restaurant. Restaurant, for zoning purposes, may bring other things with it. That's really not our issue. So that there may be a distinction between the way in which restaurant's defined in the local town's law and in our law.
But the town still objects to it being qualified or classified as a restaurant. That's simply what I'm putting.
Under its own zoning.
Understood.
I interrupted you, I apologize.
That's quite all right. I'm happy to take the question. But again, I guess the point is, check the box, call it a restaurant. It doesn't make it a restaurant. It's a snack bar. One document, the settlement agreement, is not dispositive on this issue. 3 documents, 2 letters from the town attorney in the prior litigation, objects to it being classified as a restaurant, and I understand the distinction that you've made, Mr. Meyerhoff. And then the C of O itself does not classify it as a restaurant.
So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You mentioned before that the licensee or the applicant has not been consistent. Can you give me just some examples?
It was those examples that I pointed out in their application that are inconsistent with the facts. And another one that comes to mind, I don't have a detailed list because I understood I was going to have 5 minutes here, is the settlement agreement specifically said no live music. The application went into you, check the box, live music. You guys caught it. But it was kind of like, if we get by with live music, we check the box, we get by with live music, we'll have live music. It's kind of like if we call it a restaurant and they don't call it a...
It's not like if you call it a restaurant. I pointed out, sorry.
Okay,
I
I'll
pointed out
stop.
to you, sir, why there's a legitimate distinction between 2 definitions.
I got it.
That's the basis for that.
I got it. Again, Commissioner Fan, those are just a couple of examples. I would refer you to and I think Mr. Donahue referred to it as voluminous documentation on the issue.
Okay, so explain to me, because I'm not familiar exactly with this location. You said there is a private beach and a public, explain the beach situation.
The hotel has a deed, as I understand it, that grants it a private beach to the mean or median high water line. And they claim they have seating for 75 people. You asked them in your deficiency notice for photographs delineating their cordoning off this private beach from other non-private or private beaches. I don't remember the exact language. They have never done that, and our reading of the town code tells us they will never be able to show you that. Whether that's germane or not, to you guys is.
You have to let people walk.
Yeah, and again, my whole point is consistently inconsistent.
To cut it off or not required to cut it
For
off?
us, they're required to cordon it off.
Right, but
Legally,
then we
I
can't
think
actually.
you can only do it at the high water mark. I know that from personal experience.
But we also allow sidewalk cafe arrangements that have public access through them.
Right, but they're cordoned off.
No, I just,
And they're under town code too. All right, go ahead, sir.
So again, without giving a list of specifics, if you reviewed one item, I would refer to you to March 11th memo from Cheryl, who leads our association, who lists a litany of consistent inconsistencies.
Okay.
And so again, this is simple, or our request is simple, or our feeling about this is simple, and that is, as a result of a grandfathering in 1968, 144 homeowners have learned to live for many, many years with a hotel in their midst, and everybody's lived in harmony, and along comes a new owner in 2018 who decides that this ought to be more than just a hotel, it ought to be a club, it ought to be a social area, it ought to be a gathering. And we think fairness dictates that that shouldn't be the case. To your great credit, I think you saw the MO, which was the, again, consistent inconsistency in the prior licensing procedure, and we think that it exists the same here today.
So, well, let me ask you this though, because everything you seem to be pointing to, which are all legitimate things, would appear to be best enforced by your town. And some of the stuff you didn't even mention, such as parking, such as, I mean, I would think if the town got in there and started towing cars, that would be the end of people parking there. Some of the beach access, the point you're making about the beach access, which I believe may be correct, wouldn't they be the ones to enforce that? Wouldn't they be the ones to enforce the settlement that they entered into and signed, which I was somewhat surprised about? Like, you seem to be dropping this on us, and we don't have the ability to know every zoning law in every municipality in the state of New York. It's impossible.
Understood.
We rely on the local enforcement to do that and do their enforcement, in which case that kicks in our enforcement. And everything that you seem to be pointing on seems to be a local issue that should be dealt with by them. And whether I think probably they're not dealing with it, or you don't expect them to.
Yeah, and just to add to that, the reason the application was denied the last time isn't because the board was deciding what the zoning should be in that area. It was that the applicants have to make a representation to the board that they have gotten all necessary permits. And because we had evidence that that wasn't the case, that even the town was disputing whether they had the necessary permits, there was no way we could license it. But we're now in a position where the town is no longer disputing that. You're disputing it, but we can't take your word for it over their word for it or whatever. It's up to the town. So is there, I mean, have you gone to the town to ask them to protest this license?
fortunately or unfortunately, the town entered into this settle two things. The town only took action as a result of our group forcing the town to finally enforce town code regulations, Board of Health, et cetera, the numerous violations that were mentioned in the prior filing. After the town took up the issue, they failed to inform our group that they had in fact formed a settlement agreement with the applicant. We suspect the town has bigger fish to fry, if you will, and just decided on the litany of issues that they address and the litany of issues that they're litigating right now. I think some of you know about Montauk. There's a lot going on. The airport, Duryea, to name a few. We think the town just said, got to cut and run. We will go back to the town. And if your point to me is we're going to have to enforce all this stuff again, we will do that again. Because we found the applicant to say one thing and do another. I appreciate your time. I understand your comments, but I also ask your consideration for what we presented today. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Well, I have one more question.
Yes.
Often in these situations, because of the way the zoning is, we're really looking for an acceptable operator. We're not really looking, legally, there's no way to say no. And so, since they're getting a hotel license, basically if they get it, the property is going to be licensed, the whole thing where they have rooms and all of that. So let me ask you a different way. If there is to be an operator there, what are the things that you're most concerned about? Is it noise? Is it traffic? Is it people walking on the beach? Like what is it?
Yes, yes, and yes. No, it's not walking on the beach. It's noise. It's cooking in illegal places along the public walkways. It's people who are served. Literally on the edge of this property, there sits 4 residences, like across the street. And as people fall asleep on the lawn, it starts to become kind of a nuisance, and that's the least of what happens. So it's just an issue, and again, this is a Montauk writ large issue. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yes.
I've heard you, and I think it has to do with a liquor license, if there's a need for more. There certainly isn't a need for more in Montauk. I understand that that's not an argument. I know
It's actually not the standard on this application.
I understand that. I understand that. But it is a standard as to liquor licenses in your authority.
No.
Okay.
Not on this particular application.
I understand it's not on this particular, philosophically then. We don't believe there's a need for more.
I understand.
And we appreciate your time and consideration. We really do.
Thank you.
I understand.
Thanks.
We appreciate your concern as well.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm with,
He's gonna win a popularity contest.
well, again, I think that a lot of what you just heard was, I believe, and I think, and it's not accurate.
Who do you have with you?
Atit Juari, the.
Jerry Wall. My name is Atit Jurawala. I'm the principal of the hotel.
Okay. Let me just address a couple of these things quickly for you. There has been no recapitalization. I asked specifically, I don't know where that came from.
Exactly the way we presented it to you, I promise.
Okay. All right.
Speak towards the microphone when you speak, okay?
It's the ownership's exactly the same way we've presented to you. I'll also say that my company I run is called Bridgeton. We run luxury hotels, upscale properties. We don't have a single nightclub. I don't get accepted to most nightclubs that I try to get into. That's not the way we run our business. And I don't know if there's been a single complaint against noise or anything that I run, because that's just not how we operate. We run luxury hotels. The other hotels that are issues in Montauk, in the area, are not really hotels. They're more like big restaurants with 10, 15 rooms. We have a 100-room hotel with people, with guests that want a really relaxing weekend. Noise to us, it goes against everything we stand for. If we're loud, our guests are all going to complain. It doesn't make sense. We have 100 rooms, probably 200 to 300 guests staying there at any one time, because we're full a lot during the week. And when you're taking a vacation just like me, I want to go and have a bar. I want to have liquor. Doesn't mean I want a nightclub. The same hotel that's been in that neighborhood forever, the guests used to go and buy liquor and come to the hotel. It wasn't that it didn't have liquor, you just couldn't buy it there. So it's not like we're introducing something different or unique. There's always been liquor at this property. We're just trying to serve a different clientele that, just like I would expect all of you and everyone in this audience, when you go on vacation to a beach, you expect to buy liquor. We're not looking for nightclub hours. We're not a nightclub. We're not looking for any of that. All we're doing is trying to serve our guests at our upscale hotel. And that's all we're striving for. That's all I've ever done in my career. That's all we focus on.
Your guests, is it just adults? Is it families with children?
It's both. It's families, it's adults, absolutely. It's all sorts of folks. Yeah, okay. Lots of couples, but certainly lots of children.
Okay.
Let me just point out one thing. This is not going to be a nightclub because the food and beverage operation begins at 7 a.m. and ends at midnight. It's not going past midnight. This is not a nightclub. This is not a wild spot. This is exactly what's happening here with the hours. I'll also speak to the beach. We don't.
I'm not trying to interrupt you. I'm not addressing you.
Sir?
I have an appointment. I didn't expect to be here for 2.5 hours. It's no disrespect, but I have to catch a train to go back.
All right, thank you for
Thanks
coming.
for coming.
Thank you. All your points are on
Thank you
record.
for
Thank
coming.
With regard to the beach, the property is owned to the, just as was said, to the high water mark. The property in front, the beach area is 21,000 square feet. There is more than enough for 75 lounge chairs to be there, to be cordoned off, and we have always allowed the neighbors or anybody else to walk across that land to get from one side to the other. We have never stopped that from happening. So there is more than enough room to have the 75 chairs, and there's more than enough room for us to cordon it off and still allow plenty of room for egress for people wanting to walk back and forth across the property. With regard to the settlement agreement, we gave you a letter in the application from the attorney who handled the settlement agreement with the town. He made the statements that this was the method of operation and everything else, and I understand that you probably need, at this point, a little more as to what the town's intention was. I do have here an email chain that I can give to you now, if you'd like, which establishes that the town attorney made edits to certain portions of the agreement. Those edits allowed and left the language for alcohol being served at the quote-unquote snack bar. After that email, the attorney in question prepared the detailed method of operation to and for the town, sent it to the town, and then we have the follow-up email where the town attorney gets it and says, okay, thank you very much, I have it, and it's done now. Okay, so the town knew that alcohol was going to be served from the snack bar. There was no question to that. The pool bar is there. The gentleman made comments about the C of O. I provided you the C of O with my response to the opposition materials. It doesn't show 2 bathrooms. It shows 4 bathrooms that are there. And a point is that the C of O doesn't often count the bathrooms because clearly within the hotel property, each of the individual rooms has a bathroom that's not open to the public. It's open to the people who are in those rooms. There was one other bathroom that's in the lobby area, off the lobby area, which is grandfathered. And that's why that wasn't in the C of O. But there are 5 bathrooms. We went to great lengths because of the previous application that was filed and all of the inconsistencies that were in that application. We went to great lengths. We broke down every particular area of this hotel to show you the exact amount of seats, the exact amount of tables and chairs that would be there for guests of the hotel and anybody else to come in. We gave a detailed method of operation which clearly complies with the stipulation. Since we started operations under our temporary permits, the fire marshal has come in, he's looked at the place and said that everything was okay and no violations were issued. If you would like, I can give you that email chain now, instead of taking the word of the person who gave the letter in the application.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I would just say, you can give it to me, but I would just say that I followed the litigation, and the reason the town filed the lawsuit was not because they thought it shouldn't be zoned as a snack bar. It was because the location had expanded beyond that. They were doing things on the beach that the town didn't want. There were some issues about the way the pool area was going to work, and those things were resolved in the settlement agreement. So I'm not concerned about, well, my review of the record is that the suggestion by the protesters that the town does not expect there to be a snack bar with alcohol is without foundation.
So to recap, the method of operation is very, very clear here. The hours of operation for the beverage and food service is only till midnight. It's clearly not a light club. All we can have is background music because that's all we've asked for. We never asked for live music. It's
So
very
you're
detailed.
not asking for a 4 a.m. or
No.
24-hour license? You're asking for
No.
midnight?
Yes.
And there's no live music?
There's no live music. There's never been a request for live music. In this application, I think he was referring to a previous application.
And in that previous application, just the only reason we had that on there is that we'd like to host weddings. That's a big business out there, especially in the off season, in September, October. And so we removed that altogether here.
So are you allowed to serve on the beach?
We're allowed to serve on the beach in the cordoned off area that we're gonna have. And by service, we're not bringing alcohol to anybody. Somebody who takes the alcohol drink can go to that area and sit in their lounge chair because it's part of the licensed premise. It'll be cordoned off.
So there's no service for you to bring it, but if they take it and sit on the private beach area,
Yes.
that's allowable?
That's allowed, yes.
Even on the hotel grounds.
Yes,
Right, okay.
that's part of the hotel grounds, and the town has no problem with that, and we broke that area down for the hotel, for the town as well.
Correct, though, everywhere on the property is basically get your own. You gotta go somewhere to get.
You have to go to one or two locations to get an
There's no
alcohol
waiters
drink.
or waitresses or.
We can't do that.
No, we can't do that by town code, okay?
And that's-
So,
I was just gonna say, that's the difference between the
Right.
town's definition of
Yes.
restaurant and ours.
right, so in order for us to comply with the town, you have to go to one of two locations. The pool bar, when the pool bar is open, obviously in clement weather, it won't be open then. So the pool bar, get your drink there, sit there and consume it, or you can take that drink and walk anywhere else within the licensed premise.
What are the hours of the pool bar?
The same hours. The food and beverage service would be from technically 8 a.m. For alcohol. It would be open 7 a.m. earlier if somebody were to ask for juice or something from that bar, and go till midnight at the latest. During the week, we found that basically we close more like 10:30, 11, but we want to make sure just in case, because now we're going to have guests and there's going to be alcohol legally there for the first time, that it's done properly and that we have this.
Okay.
All the cooking is done in the snack bar area. There's a full kitchen there. That's where it's done. There were some barbecues in the past before the stipulation of settlement. We were told that the town code doesn't allow those. They were removed and stopped immediately as soon as we were told that.
And what other location can they buy alcohol? It's the pool bar and what?
And what the town has deemed the snack bar. That's
And the
it.
snack bar is open until midnight as well?
Correct.
Is that inside?
It's in its own little, if you want to call it building. There are doors that open up wide so you can walk right to the counter. And
It's like a kiosk in a
Yeah.
way. It's weird. It's
Hard to
mostly 90% inside or 95% inside.
Okay.
And the counter is like a few feet away.
Right.
Right. And the pool bar, and the pool itself is open until midnight, I assume?
Well, what are your pool hours?
The pool is not usually open till midnight, but the pool bar is actually adjacent to the pool in a way. It's separate. The pool bar is not within the pool. It's adjacent to the pool.
And the pool bar is like towards the beach too. It's at
The-
that end of the property.
Yes.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's overlooking the beach.
Yes.
Unless you want to change the hours, you can do that.
I don't know.
I'm just saying where it is.
We can change the hours of the pool,
Where
that's
the
fine.
pool and the pool bar are located, they are just about as insulated from your neighbors as they could possibly be on the property.
That's correct. That is correct.
Our building everything surrounds the neighbors, the entire building and the beach.
That's the problem.
Yes.
Right, but we moved the pool bar as far away from, the point that Commissioner Ford made, that as far away from the customers as you could have it. We also have our
Not
own
doing
parking.
amplified music.
No, it's background music at a background level. Again, I think one of the major difficulties here was the original application, which we were not involved with, was trying to give you if-and scenarios. So if the town were to ever grant a special event permit, that special event permit for the town would allow live music, would allow dancing, would allow everything else. So the firm that did the previous application tried to give you a kitchen sink approach where you would get everything. Once the applicant came to me, I said, that's not the way the authority works, and it has to be clearly defined as to what we could do. So that approach was dropped, and we went to background music only, none of the live music, no DJ, hours of operation that make sense, clearly define every area of this property and its occupancy within each area. And of course, the settlement agreement with the town, which clearly spells out, which we will live by. You have our representation. We will live by that stipulation with the settlement agreement.
Commissioner Fan,
I'm going to vote to approve.
Commissioner Ford,
I vote to approve as well.
Chairman Bradley.
I vote to approve.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your consideration.
No, but I would be, and I think you probably are aware that they're not going away.
Right.
100%.
And if the town does start writing you up, we're going to write you up, and it's going to get pretty costly.
Right. My client understands that, and that's why we went through such, we've even asked for the town, now we know we're approved, we even asked the town if they could do like a short walkthrough with us, just to make sure everything is spot on.
Good luck.
Thank you all so much. Thank you very much.
Next is 818 Skywine of New York.
Thank you very much.
Thomas Burke from the Law Office of Stacy Weiss, and this is the applicant, Juan Reyes. We thought it would be.
Wait, this is 818?
818.
It's the licensee, not the applicant.
Okay, right. This is a conditional no contest plea. So in this case, he is the licensee, yes.
So I understand that our council asked you to bring in the former.
Yes, we did,
representative.
and we reached out to him, and he's not responding.
Well, in fairness, I only sent my email yesterday.
Well, it just begs the question about how your client could even believe such dumb advice.
Well, actually, the letter that I think Ms. Weiss signed said that she did not, well, she's guessing because she wasn't there, but she said she didn't believe he was advised that he could move. He must have misunderstood whatever advice he received. I don't even understand how that's possible, but.
Which I find even less believable since the removal application wasn't even filed until he had already moved.
Right, he moved on January 20, he was moved by January 22nd when the investigator came. He didn't get the filing application until February 22nd.
So that makes me wonder whether he should even be have a liquor license.
Well, he doesn't.
Well, he had one.
He has one in safekeeping now.
No.
Was just renewed.
It was?
But how can we give somebody a license that doesn't understand that basic obligation? That's the most basic obligation, is your liquor license is attached to your property and to you.
Perhaps because he was only moving next door, he thought?
Oh, so we'll be able to find it anyway. I get it. We're looking for a liquor store, we just had the wrong address,
The
but it
wrong
was right
entrance,
next
yeah, the
door.
wrong
It's our
entrance.
mistake. All right.
And he is the landlord of the building in which he moved.
He's the landlord of both locations.
No, the previous location he leased, the location he moved to, he's the owner.
Oh, I see. Even more reason to just have gotten that right, especially now if you own the property.
Yeah, it wasn't that much of a big of a deal.
Okay, let's not waste any
I'll
time.
accept.
Actually, not the application for the removal.
Yeah, I
This
know.
is just the disciplinary case.
Yeah, I'll accept.
I'll accept.
I'll accept.
Okay, and if I might ask about the application for the removal, should we,
I don't know where.
So do you want to, it got disapproved.
should we do a request for reconsideration?
You can do whatever you want, but it got disapproved.
My suggestion is you get an affidavit from the prior representative in support of that request for reconsideration.
Thank
if
you
you're
very
gonna make
much.
one.
All right.
I mean, I can tell you that it's going to go to the chair because licensing is not going to change his mind.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Just throw him under the bus.
Next is 770 BISTRO So Corp. BISTRO So Corp.
Good afternoon, good morning, I'm not sure. My name is George Carp. I represent Bistro So Corp. With me is Soraya D'Antonio, and she's the sole principal of the restaurant location.
So can I ask you why, I'm going to ask your client, why didn't you meet with the community board? Did they not ask to meet with you?
We did. We were at a meeting, absolutely, we were approved by community
The
board.
letter that's submitted here is incomplete. It like stopped short.
Oh,
It mentions
I
you,
got
but-
the impression they didn't meet with them. All right.
But
No,
the
we did meet
board,
with them.
it doesn't, did you get a completed, do you have a completed letter from the community board in support of your application? Is what I'm
I
looking
haven't
at
looked at it
here.
in years, but I don't have it with me, I have it in my file.
What are your hours?
Oh, my hours, weekdays, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 11, and the weekend, midnight, on the Saturday,
You
Sunday.
actually,
sorry,
you actually
on
asked for
Fridays.
more than that, 12 and 1.
Yeah, but I went down because.
Oh, you went down? Okay.
And you have live acoustic music?
Acoustic, one
Live
time a
acoustic
week,
music,
yes.
non-amplified? Okay.
The garden
So
hours is the only
I'm
thing.
going to vote to approve midnight across the board, live acoustic music, non-amplified, no promoters.
Hours in the garden, same?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
No promoters, security and managers needed.
Commissioner Ford.
Give me just a second. I'm looking for that community board letter. I know I saw it in here.
No, there is a,
No, there's a letter that
There's a letter
says
that has like 3 names on it.
Yes.
then it's cut off.
And then we don't have the rest of it, so.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
yes.
but that's,
So they didn't, we don't know whether they opposed it or supported it because it doesn't say.
I can advise that the community board did approve. There were some questions about hours, we straightened that out, and it was approved. I'm not sure about the formal letter, but I know it was approved, and I
Well,
assume that
can
it.
next time, can you make sure we get whatever approval they send?
Absolutely, yes. I thought,
I mean, it's not very helpful to tell us that she's approved by the community board, but you don't send us anything except your representation.
honestly, Your Honor, I thought a judge.
I'm not a
Commissioner-
judge.
Chairman, it was my belief that they send that, the community board does send it up to Albany, and
They do, some don't.
Well, that's
But we
what-
can't
It's
rely
still,
on they
it's
will.
still, going forward, okay, the applicant should be submitting a stipulation if there's a stipulation. Don't assume the community board's gonna do it.
okay.
All right, Commissioner Ford,
I'm going to vote to approve as well.
And Chairman Bradley.
I'll vote to approve on the same grounds as.
Thanks.
Commissioner
May I
Ford.
ask this thing about the certificate of occupancy? I asked for the waiver, was that granted?
Say that again?
There was a waiver, I requested a waiver of certificate of.
Yeah, we don't do that here. You have a year to get it to us, or was it 2 years?
2 years, I think it's still an next renewal.
It's the next renewal.
Next renewal, so she has 2 years to get us that.
There'll be a form you need to submit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
luck.
so much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next is 834D, E, and F. Oh, which is links to Lounge Inc.
Good afternoon, Timothy Allenwick for the licensee. Licensee is here with me today, Ms. Aziz. All the charges were sustained on this. I provided you with a number of items showing the corrections for proof.
How do we correct the failure to
The sale to
allow
minors.
inspection?
So if you look at what happened there, she was homesick. The officers have her number, and they called her, and she immediately called the person she left in charge. I believe the officers got in about 45 minutes later. But she said she received at least 3 phone calls from the officer and, was doing her best to get in touch with that person. Then she fired that worker.
I mean, she's racked up.
31,000.
Last one was 10,000.
No,
Yeah, she's got racked up 31,000 since 2013, most of which have been in the last 1, 2, 3, most of which have been since 2017. I mean, I don't know what, and
We have a
this,
second and third sale to minor here. Also, when the police were there on May 8th, or I'm sorry,
That's the,
yes,
the
May 8th,
incident
there
we're
was
talking
a,
Of this
they
year?
were, no, in 2021, they was cited for going beyond their method of operation, and then when we went back a week later, nothing had been changed.
she's not using DJ anymore, no security, she's
I-
closing
that-
very.
That's great, but what, it took 4 years for that to happen?
And she's been closing very early, like midnight half the time, trying to avoid any trouble that she can avoid.
I feel bad taking the money from her
Yeah.
because she's throwing good money at bad. That's what's happening here.
Well, that frankly, probably why we didn't settle it. She didn't have the money at the time.
You can't tell me that the trial cost more than the settlement would. All right, what do you guys want to do? So sustain all the charges.
I'm at 25.
I feel like the chairman, I feel like if we accept it, we're just taking your money.
I spoke to her about
There's
a suspension, and she.
It's a not guilty plea, so, oh, you mean if you
If we
take their
impose
mon-
it,
if you
yeah.
impose a cash fine and
Right,
she pays it.
Because
the
history here is horrendous.
What does she want to do?
She wants to be open.
She would like a reasonable fine. I think maybe it's taking her longer than.
That's the
normal,
problem. There's
and
no reasonable fine at this point. Those days, that ship sailed a
it's
while
lot
ago
of
for her.
inflation.
I mean, she's at 25. I don't even know that I can go to 25 in my mind. No, he may be able to, but we're starting on the first two. We're starting at almost 17,000 on the first two charges because it's a second and third sale to minor. So that's 6,000 plus 10,000, and they're both 18. Add another 500 to both of them.
Would you consider 20,000?
Not me, no.
Commissioner Ford?
I'm going to go along with Commissioner Fan and do 25,000, and I feel like that's really not. I just think that we'll be canceling bond here before bond. So your call if you want to accept it or not.
Thank you.
Chairman Bradley?
All right, I'll do that. That seems fair.
Thank you.
Understand, Counselor, next time she's
I
in here, that's
understand.
it.
She knows. Spent a lot of time in my office for this hearing, and we've reviewed everything.
We're going to go on a off the record for a brief recess. We'll be back shortly. All right, we're back on the record after a brief recess. Next is 832 8808 Rockaway Liquors, Inc.
What number was that again?
832.
Good afternoon, Terrence Flynn. On behalf of the applicant, I have with me Patrick Flabot, which is one of the principals here. This is a removal application. The store is moving less than
Closer to your house or further away?
closer. I was gonna say, this is my neighborhood, and I could tell you if somebody, I had nothing to do with the planning of this, but if somebody planned a move of a store, I could not think of a better spot, and for the following reasons.
I'm gonna vote to approve.
Oh, great.
Commissioner
Less is more.
A better spot for you or just?
I'm gonna vote
Doesn't want to hear the following reasons, apparently.
It's okay.
Approved.
Okay.
There you go.
778 Out East Restaurant Group, LLC.
This is an offer of compromise to resolve the charges.
This is renewed.
Yeah, is it still open?
There's,
As far as I know.
When I looked last week, there was no renewal on file. It has not been, let me just double check.
Yeah, expired in October.
The oyster stand.
So,
Were they just operating 1 year?
It's seasonal, they probably didn't get it.
Yeah, they
It's
probably,
seasonal, that's
okay.
all. All right,
I will follow up.
All right, I'll accept 1,000.
Accept.
All right. 783 Montauk Ventures, LLC.
Jeez, would you buy a house out there?
No, I live in Rockaway.
You're not a Montauk kind of guy.
No, I'm a kind of dirty sand on my
I didn't think
toes.
they even let Rockaway guys into Montauk.
They don't.
I'll tell you where they let them in. The Memory Motel. You can drink there. You can overdrink there. That's the
Let's be fair.
All right, I'll
Accept.
Thank you very much.
Had a good day there, Mr. Flynn.
So far.
So far.
Oh, you got more?
I do, unfortunately. That was the kiss of death.
I thought that was it. You were leaving.
1629 Second
Oh
Restaurant.
my God,
It's better.
Which one?
Which one?
The single mass charge.
that's so ridiculous.
Which one?
Yeah.
If we didn't plan this, I'm gonna go to 1,500.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Ford.
1,500.
I had 1,500 as well.
Thank you.
834C Mill Beverage Owner, LLC.
Okay. This is an offer of compromise to resolve charges. This is an interesting one because in my 35.
I think we're fine with it, we understand.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, the affidavits
Yeah.
that you submitted provided what we were looking for.
125,000 and commitment from licensee to transfer store to new ownership.
The new people are ready to submit that application as soon as I can tell them that this is done, so.
Okay.
I'll accept.
Commissioner Ford.
Accept.
All right. Did you have something else?
Nope, thank you very much. I enjoy the new space, it's lovely. And also, would you please tell Kim that I wish her the best? I've dealt with her for 35 years now, and she's always been wonderful to deal with. So please wish her my best.
We will.
Thank you very much. Have a very nice day.
Yep. Jonathan, that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So 760. It's a offer of 1,500.
1,500.
Accept.
761. Offer of 5,000.
Accept 5,000.
Accept.
762. An offer of 1,500.
1,500.
1,500.
763. An offer of 2,000.
2,000.
2,000.
Accept.
764 and 65. An offer of 4,000.
4,000.
4,000.
Accept. 4,000.
766. An offer of 3,000.
3,000.
3,000.
3,000.
767. A package store removal application.
This was gonna be 4 times larger.
I actually was okay with it just
Yeah,
because everybody else is that size.
Okay, I was vote to approve.
Commissioner Ford.
767.
767.
The removal
No.
in the same plaza.
Yes, no protest, same plaza, all stores doing a healthy business.
And one of closest stores closed.
Closed, yes, so approved, yes.
I'll approve as well.
773. It's a no contest default at pleading.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Does not appear we have any recourse. Cancel and bond.
777, an offer of 3,000.
3,000.
3,000.
3,000, wait a minute. Not cancel and bond? It's or surrender.
They made the offer after they surrendered, so maybe they want a clear record. So you should.
Okay, accept.
779, an offer of cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Accept.
Accept.
780, an offer of 7,500.
I'm gonna counter at 10,000.
Counter at 10.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit low too. 10,000.
781, an offer of 3,000.
3,000.
3,000.
3,000.
782, an offer of 1,500.
1,500.
1,500.
1,500 accept.
786, 87, and 88. It's a no contest.
You want this, right, Gary?
Yeah, you said.
Well, what did you get a submission from them?
Never did.
It didn't come to you?
It didn't come through the supplementals.
86, 87,
Like their submission?
88.
We got an email from the representative that he was overnighting a letter of mitigation to us and to the secretary. And
Overnighting? When was that?
And I just assumed that it actually came in, and if they were really going to seek mitigation, since
Okay.
they
So
basically
let's-
took this case off the hearing calendar and offered no contest, that we should honor the secretary's deadline and adjourn this to the next meeting. But I don't even know if the thing came in.
Let me check notes. Unless it came in today and we've been, busy.
I can recon it. You know what?
Let's just hold it over.
Okay.
Next time.
We'll hold it over and we'll straighten it out.
Okay. Is that okay with the?
Yes. What's the date of the next meeting?
5/27.
Oh, 25, sorry.
525?
Yes.
Okay. First one over. Awesome.
789, it's an offer of cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Accept. Cancel and bond.
790, an offer of 6,000.
6,000.
6,000.
6,000 accept.
791, 92, an offer of 4,500.
4,500.
4,500.
4,500 accept.
793, an offer of 2,500.
2,500.
2,500.
2,500 accept.
794, 95, an offer of cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
796, an offer of 8,500.
8,500.
8,500.
8,500.
797, an offer of cancel.
Should we just revoke for the record?
It's an offer, so if you don't cancel, we counter. We can counter revoke if you want.
Okay.
They're already revoked.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah, revoke and bond.
No bond.
Just
Revoke.
Just revoke?
It-
Oh, I see.
it-
There was a, right.
It doesn't really do anything.
Because the
just
revoke's
accept
already
it.
on there.
We'll
So-
just take the cancel.
Yeah, and then it's more. All right,
But the re-
accept the cancel.
the
Accept
rep-
cancel, no bond.
Accept.
The revocation could be retroactive to the last revocation, so the 2 years
Right.
doesn't change.
Got it. Okay.
798, an offer of 3,500.
That goes back to council? Yeah, I want this one back. We need to change the charges.
Okay.
Yep, back to council.
799 is an offer of 7,500.
7,500.
Accept.
800 is an offer of 1,000.
Counter at 3,000.
Counter at 3,000.
What was this? Affiliate books and records.
Non-calendar amount for books and records is 2,000, so this is low.
3,000.
3,000.
3,000.
All right. 801 is an offer of 3,500.
3,500.
3,500.
Accept.
802 is an offer of 2,000.
2,000.
2,000.
Accept.
803 is an offer of 1,000.
1,000.
1,000.
1,000.
Do you accept?
Yeah, I'll accept.
804 and 05, offer of 3,000.
3,000.
3,000.
3,000 accept.
806 is an offer of 1,500.
1,500.
1,500.
1,500 accept.
809 is an offer of 1,000.
1,000.
1,000.
1,000 accept.
810 is an offer of cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
811 and 12 is an offer of 1,500.
I'll accept. These are really minor.
Okay, accept 1,500.
Accept.
813 is an offer of 1,500.
1,500.
1,500.
814 is an offer of 1,500.
1,500.
1,500.
Accept.
815 and 16 is a no contest default at hearing.
It's cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
No option.
817 is an offer of 7,000.
7,000.
7,000.
Accept.
819 is an offer of 1,500.
1,500.
1,500.
1,500 accept.
820 is an offer of 2,000.
Counter at 5,000.
I'll do that. 5,000.
5,000.
821 is an offer of 6,000.
6,000.
6,000.
Which one was that? I'm sorry.
821.
Yes. But can I ask you something? Why was the first one so low? Sale to minor back in 818. It was only paid $1,000.
I think I looked at it may have been they may have already had an ATAP certificate, which is reduces it to the bond amount, which is
All right.
1,000.
All right,
Like
just
at the
my
time.
information. Learn
Yeah.
something every day here. Okay.
That may have been what happened.
That's more than likely. Whoever made the sale had the program, got kicked down to 1,000.
Yep.
822 is no contest default at hearing.
2,500.
2,500.
For 822?
Oh, I'm sorry. I had cancel and bond.
I had cancel and bond.
Place burned down, yeah.
Yeah, it's not there.
Yeah.
License is now expired.
That's fine.
823 is an offer of cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond accept.
824 is an offer at 8,500.
8,500.
8,500.
8,500 accept.
825 is an offer of 10,000.
This is not okay.
Got to be cancel and bond.
Little casino in the neighborhood.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond
Yeah.
counter.
This road before.
826 is an offer of cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
827 is an offer of 1,500.
1,500.
1,500.
1,500 accept.
828 is an offer of cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
So 834A, it was John Springer sent in an adjournment request on behalf of Aurelia Tavares because they could not get in contact with the church.
Okay.
525.
Yep.
And then, I'll go ahead.
And then the next one is.
And then
The next one's withdrawn.
what was that?
Which one?
Withdrawn,
So
yeah.
go to the last one. Wait, what's?
That was just 834 we just did. What's next?
Was it 834B?
834B is.
834B was withdrawn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was asking what was.
Oh,
What do you mean? The application was withdrawn?
Yeah, they apparently sent an email to the wrong address.
okay.
Forwarded.
All right.
And then, go ahead.
834G.
I need to put that over for 2 more weeks. I didn't get a
It's my
chance.
fault. It's my fault.
And Sharif blew his back out.
Everybody's fault.
All right, I have nothing else. Chairman, do you?
Thank you. No, we're all set.
To 525.
Okay. What a day. What a day.